Good afternoon. It is Saturday, July 26th of 2025. The dog days of summer. I'm trying something different. I'm not doing my episode that I normally do where everything's already laid out in front of me. I'm going to go out and look for it while I'm recording. So, it is hot as hell. I just mowed the grass. I feel very accomplished. I mowed the front and backyard. It's currently 93 degrees outside. Our high today is 96. Just an average day here. No heat wave or anything like that. No heat advisory. Just another day. Another day. Sunny St. Pete. Okay, so I actually have bookmarks. Let me zoom in here. Not bookmarks, I have lists. I usually start with my government list. Where's my government list? Here it is. My government. 200 members. I've had this list for a couple years. I've been adding to it here and there. I've never really used it for anything until recently when I thought, you know what, why don't I just try making a daily video about what the hell the government's talking about. Everybody else is. Not everybody, but a lot of people are. But they don't really do it this way. They don't go through and see what everybody's talking about. Gus Bilirakis. Oh, yeah, let me make it a little bit bigger here. Oh, no, that's way too big. The government. Just got a new mouse. Absolutely loving this mouse. It's ergo-driven. It's an ergo-driven mouse. I only paid $20 for it. I bet it's not $20 on here anymore. Maybe it is. Let's see. Nope, $30. $29. If you sign in on Amazon, if you're signed in, you might be able to get it for $19 still. It's worth it though. Even for $30, it's worth it. It's nice. It has this screen on the top of it. You can program these buttons here, the ones by your thumb. You can actually program all the buttons on it, I think. So for my mouse, my ergonomic mouse, my vertical mouse, you can program either one of those buttons to be your mouse left clicker or right clicker. I set them both to be left clicker. It's real nice because now I can use my thumb to click. See, ooh, see, that's nice. I use my thumb for that. I used those buttons up there to click from place to place. It's kind of nice. It gives your fingers kind of a little bit of a rest. All right, wasting time. But yeah, that little screen up there, you can program all those different buttons to do a whole variety of things. There's like 50 different functions that it has on that menu. And I've had plenty. I do have that one 100%. I know I have that mouse. Where's that one that's, yeah, it looks just like, it's not that one. I have one that looks like that, but it's not that color. I have 3 different ergonomic mouses. And then I have a bunch of other ones. I've got like 12, probably 13 different mouses that I've collected over the years. Just looking for that magical one, the one that's just absolutely perfect in every way. These are the real deal, man. These are actually really nice. If you work full-time with a computer, whether if you work at the office, you work from home, whatever, if you have to use a lot of mouse work, you got to get one of these, man. It'll change your life, especially if you kind of have some, I don't know, carpal tunnel or arthritis or whatever going on. Your fingers start hurting after a while. It's not going to fix that, but it'll make it better. Make it a little easier to deal with. All right. So I'm just chilling. I'm just hanging out. Usually I go through these posts on my phone during my breaks at work and first thing in the morning. And when I get off of work, I usually spend like an hour and a half scrolling through all of this. Just going through, picking out everything that's less than 24 hours old. At least I try to. And I just pick whatever I think is relevant at the time. I don't catch everything. I don't catch all the big breaking news because I only go through these government profiles, the ones with the gray check mark, or the ones with these logos, the ones that are the House and the Senate, Republicans and Democrats. Those are the only ones that I follow for this type of show. I don't go through the mainstream news, things like that. So there's some stuff that I'm not probably going to catch. It's just whatever the government's talking about. That's what I stick with. At the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library with the Ways and Means GOP Committee to talk about the One Big Beautiful Bill and how the tax relief is coming for every American. Live now. I thought they were in Vegas. Is that where the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library is? Is it in Vegas? Is it, like, for real? It's actually in Vegas? There's no way. It's probably in California, I would assume. Isn't it in California? Hold on, let me zoom out. All right. Shit. You know, I'll just make it. Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. It is in California. It is in California. They really replicate the Oval Office in the Presidential Library? I didn't know they did that. That's kind of cool, man. I bet they get a lot of visitors at the Reagan Presidential Library. It's out in the middle of fucking nowhere, man. No. Did it really get a 2? Oh, okay. Something got a 2 on here. Oh, okay, there it is. Charters of Freedom, Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. Why would some asshole give this a 2? And how come nobody else gave it a review? It only got 1. 2,000 reviews. Damn, man. Although Google Maps and Google Reviews, it's been around for over a decade, so 2,000 reviews. It's still a lot, but it's not like, top tier, like top 10 most reviewed out there. All right, here, hold on. Let me pull out of this here. Okay, so it's like roughly in the LA area, north of Santa Monica, Thousand Oaks. It's kind of a weird place. Is this the area where Ronald Reagan was born? I don't know much about Ronald Reagan. He was president when I was born, though. Uh-huh. Yes, sir. But I'm kind of confused because they were at Las Vegas yesterday. I thought they were going to spend the whole weekend there, just partying, getting their drink on, getting their gambling on with the taxpayer money. I mean, Democrats, they followed them out there to shit-talk them behind their back to the left-wing media. And, well, I guess they're done with that. Well, you know what? They're probably going on a tour. See, I don't even know. I guess we could just go to the Ways and Means Committee's profile and see what the hell they're doing. Oh, they're live. Ooh, fancy. I don't even know if I've ever seen that before. So how does one go about viewing it live? Okay, that must be it right here. Is this currently live?
Since when does X have always love coming back here, but it's nice that there's always something new too that will reflect how great President Reagan was for our country, and not only past and present, but well into the future. So thank you to you and your team.
Kind of loud. I'm going to turn down a little bit.
Last year we passed a bill, slightly different circumstances, different president. A lot of the same issues, though, in a bill that was bipartisan.
Okay, so they are touring. Here for working class Americans, because that's
it wasn't 100%.
That's what it was titled yesterday when they were at Las Vegas.
But largely, the bill that we passed.
So they're going on a tour of sorts.
Family and business taxes has been included in the bill this year. And Mr. Kim,
I'm not cutting off. It scrolled all the way up. See,
some of the tax benefits in the
that's
bill.
as high as it goes.
We can do that, and sticking to the facts at hand. And Mr. Kim, I appreciate your comments that those
why the hell is there a car behind
not the enemy.
Oh, is that Ronald Reagan's presidential limousine?
That's why I think this bill actually strengthens the safety net to make sure that the folks who need the help will receive the help.
Looks presidential.
And that we will have the resources. And I represent one of the most rural constituencies in the U.S. House. I've been eagerly speaking with healthcare providers in my district who are telling me
it's pretty rural out in Nebraska.
And, there are resources in our bill that help rural health. They appreciate that. They celebrate that. And they also are constantly telling me
how much was it? $50 billion that they're allocating for rural hospitals across America
and reflecting on how
that might be impacted by the changes they're making to the Medicare
what we did in 2017 was because I think Mr. Huff, Mr. Kester, Mr. Fulton touched.
Of course, Democrats are like, they're kicking everybody off. They're kicking everybody off of Medicare and Medicaid. Everybody's losing their insurance now.
Agriculture,
just illegals.
Our goal was to increase productivity
and people who have no business being on it in the first place, possibly
without triggering inflation.
But I don't even know if they're even going after them specifically yet.
2021 pushed all this cash out there.
They are going after people who are double dipping. There are people who have they have insurance with Medicare and then they have insurance somewhere else. So they're cutting them off of Medicare if they've got two separate
we heard from workers
types of insurance.
Very eager to experience the benefits of the new bill because they experienced the benefits of the last bill. In 2017, what we did, increased wages at a faster rate than executive compensation.
I mean, I got an extra $50 on my check when that happened.
That's the fact.
I did. I noticed it. I did.
Mr. Kester,
I actually did.
Thank you for being here.
With the Trump tax cuts during his first term.
Many would say it's a double tax.
Probably everybody in my income bracket, because I don't make very much.
But that's not where we ended
So I'm sure everybody in my income bracket, they all got at least $50 back per check.
Can you speak to the usefulness of that permanence?
Yeah, it's kind of nice, man. $50. Even by today's standards for me, I can make that go, man.
Absolutely. For the estate
It'll fill up my gas
tax,
tank twice. So I only got a 10-gallon gas tank.
My family is, over the last 30 years, has spent tens and tens of thousands of dollars trying to plan legal expenses, plan for mitigating the different rates and exemption amounts over the years. And so now, with the permanency of having a baseline indexed up, we can plan and wisely try to transition for our generational family ranching operation. I can't overstate how big that is to have that certainty and knowing what the limits are going to be. And at the same time, hopefully we can have the discussion about full exemption in the future. But it is hugely important to my family and many other ag operations, family-run businesses, to have that permanency and certainty of what the numbers are so they can properly plan for future generations.
Thank you. I appreciate that perspective, and I wish I had more time. But Mr. Timmons, just briefly, could you reflect slightly on the importance of interest deductibility and how that is carried out with your members?
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for your leadership on interest deductibility, Congressman. You spoke to our small and medium manufacturers group earlier this year, and it's one of the top issues that you heard from them. Because especially when a small manufacturer wants to invest in new plants or equipment, if they want to invest
we need the electrical grid, though. That's a massive problem. Bringing back all this manufacturing, we need the electrical grid to support all that.
They probably have to borrow some money. And the cost of
otherwise, your electricity is going up. My electricity is going up.
The 2017 provision
maybe not mine specifically. We don't have a lot of manufacturing in the Tampa Bay area. At least not in Pinellas County, we don't. We have a lot of commercial.
Disadvantage. So by restoring that,
actually, if I'm not mistaken, we have the largest battery manufacturer in the entire country down here in Pinellas County.
Increase their investment capacity and to
we got some stuff going on here
to create more jobs.
Yeah. Thank you. I yield back.
Ms. Sanchez is recognized.
Ooh, look at that.
Chairman. You know, 5
Air Force
minutes
One.
is not nearly enough time to list all the ways
that a
in which
replica?
this bill is going to hurt Californians.
That was probably a stupid question.
From the 3.4 million Californians who risk losing Medi-Cal to the 70,000
look at that,
jobs
man.
put in
Stairs
jeopardy
even
by
go
the
up into
cuts
it.
to clean
Or
energy
maybe
credits.
not. It kind of looks like it goes off the other way.
Bill does nothing but
I
put
want
us
to
in
go
a
in
worse
there.
spot than we were before President Trump was
Museum
in
of Science and Industry in Chicago. They have
This
a
bill
replica.
prices on every
I don't know if it's a
Americans.
Boeing
It
747. I don't know what it is, but it's a replica. You can walk up in it.
For the working class.
They have it suspended in
and this
the
comes
air.
at a time when Trump and
actually walk
Republicans are
inside.
already increasing
Ooh,
costs
it's
for working
being inside an
families
airliner.
at the grocery store and for back-to-school shopping through their ridiculous on-again, off-again, will we, won't we tariff policies. Even President Reagan, whose trade policy couldn't be more different than my own, has been on record saying that tariffs raise prices on consumers. Sound familiar? It should sound familiar to you, Mr. Timmons. Your organization, the National Association of Manufacturers, put out this press release in April of this year, which I would like to submit for the record.
Is that a stupid question?
Mr. Timmons, in this press release from April of this year, you stated that
I'm moving it out of the way.
87%
Don't freak out.
of small and medium-sized manufacturers indicated that they may need to raise prices. Since we have seen tariff after tariff levied on our closest trading partners, do you deny that tariffs have caused some businesses to raise prices?
Well, thank you for that question, Congresswoman.
Yep, she's a Democrat.
I would
38th
I'd like to
congressional
address
district
a
in
couple of
California.
things that you said there,
I just
and
asked a simple question,
I get
and
that.
I've got limited time.
Don't get
so
triggered,
yes or no
ma'am.
answer would suffice
Don't get
with
triggered.
a brief explanation.
Or, sir,
Do
ma'am,
you deny that tariffs
whatever.
have caused
Don't want to
some
misgender you.
businesses to raise prices?
So, as I've said, businesses are very concerned right now about the tariff policy, and we'd like to know, frankly, what the solution is going to be and what the administration is going to negotiate.
I mean,
with
tariffs
various
haven't really
countries.
affected anybody yet, anyway.
Having said that, one thing
But
that is important.
to be fair, I
and
think a
we
lot
want
of them are
to be
kicking in,
aware
what,
of this.
August 1st?
One thing that is important to know is that even if we turned on every machine in this country right now and we filled every single job that we have open, which is 400,000, and we ran those machines 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we could still only produce about 84% of critical inputs that are necessary to grow manufacturing capacity in the United States.
I'm
have
not sensing an answer to the question,
well,
though.
you should, because 16% of those critical inputs do have to come from other countries. And if we raise the prices on those, it makes it more difficult to experience a growth in manufacturing.
Okay.
So we want
I
to see some
appreciate
sort
that
of a
answer.
program that allows some sort of a speed pass
I
to allow
appreciate the
those
answer.
issues or those
Thank
products
you,
to come
Mr.
in
Chairman, for
duty-free.
claiming my time. I just want for the record to note that beef prices are hitting records, rising almost 9% since January.
doesn't make sense to me.
According to the Department of Agriculture.
'Cause we're sending beef off
and
to
retailing for
Australia now.
$9.26 a pound. If you do grocery shopping weekly, like I do, I don't imagine most of you guys do. I bet you have others
I got to
that
give
do
that to
for
her.
you.
It is
No,
expensive.
You notice
both
the
Doesn't make a lot of
increase
sense
in
to me.
prices. June's consumer price index also showed that steak and ground beef prices are up 12.4% and 10.3%.
It's all Trump's
respectively
fault.
Over last year.
He's
Fasteners
making it-
are up
making it
10
more
to
expensive.
30%, according to the CEO of the Bossard Group, and roasted coffee prices in the U.S. surged 12.7% in June compared with a year prior.
Shrinkflation.
And according
They
to
also
data from
shrink-
the Bureau
they
of
shrink
Labor
the size of the coffee bags,
Statistics,
too.
instant coffee saw a 16.3% increase.
It used to be 16 ounces, now they're only
So I think
12.
it's fair to say that the tariff policy is causing an increase in prices.
Not
There's
really.
another
I don't think they've
burden
kicked
that
in
this
yet.
bill places on my constituents that I would also like to discuss.
I know you like
because
to blame the
bill
tariffs.
allocates an additional $75 billion.
Lady, if you go grocery shopping every week, then you know that beef didn't just go up in the last 2 months. It didn't go up in the last 3 months. Beef skyrocketed like 3-4 years ago, and it's been insane ever since. I mean, come on, lady, be real.
Towards ICE detention centers, enforcement,
It's
and
not Joe
personnel.
Biden's fault.
This rogue agency has been
Well,
racially
no, he wasn't
profiling
cognitively
and
there.
harassing
Probably wasn't his
constituents,
fault.
U.S. citizens,
Probably
many
his
of them,
fucking cronies
for
and his
weeks
fucking
now in my
lackeys who were
district.
running shit on his
Republicans
behalf.
on this committee are adding $4.1 trillion
He didn't even know where the fuck he was half the time.
And they are largely spending that money to illegally detain and deport U.S. citizens,
Nope,
harass
wrong.
and beat protesters, and shut down the local economy.
Nope, that's propaganda.
Last month, ICE officers
Not true.
urinated
I already
on school
debunked that
property
yesterday.
Mere feet away from an
was
elementary
at the
school
Department
that
of
was in
Defense or
session
Department
for
of State.
summer school. And the same
They
officer
systematically
who violently
debunked that.
arrested and detained a 20-year-old U.S. citizen in my district was arrested for sexually assaulting a woman at an L.A. restaurant a few
Well,
weeks
maybe
later.
he shouldn't be sexually
And
assaulting
Republicans
women.
want to spend our tax
Dummy.
dollars to give bonuses to these people with zero accountability. Mr. Kim, how have these recent ICE raids harmed Californians and small businesses?
So California is home to the
They've opened up
largest
the ability
share
for
of
Americans to
immigrants
get
in the
jobs.
US and
They're
are
taking
an
illegals
integral
away from
part
those jobs, and they're
of California's
opening those
social
up to American
fabric.
citizens.
They pay taxes and contribute to our economic success.
I mean, I hear a lot of
the more
leftists
than
complaining
2
about how they can't find a
million
job anywhere,
Californians who are
especially with their college
undocumented,
degrees.
They actually contribute $8.5 billion a year in state and local taxes. Nationally, undocumented immigrants contribute nearly $60 billion in federal taxes, despite their exclusion from most public benefits.
That's still
Given
illegal.
These indiscriminate
How are they doing that?
deportations and detentions, given the fear-induced self-deportations, will not only see broad sectors of the economy shrink without both their labor and their economic activity, but we'll also see this tax revenue.
How are they getting
starting to
around
get taken off
E-Verify?
the table. I'll also just mention, you
I mean,
cannot
how do you pay taxes
overstate
without
the economic,
running somebody
the
through
personal, and
E-Verify?
the psychic impact of these raids over the past 2 months.
I don't believe you, sir.
We've seen reports of 8-year-olds walking down the streets in some of the highest hit neighborhoods trying to carry 2 or 3 pizza boxes at a time, as many as their arms can carry, because they're the only
never
ones with
seen that, not
documentation in
once.
their households to bring food home to their families.
Thank you, Mr. Kim. I couldn't agree with you
That
more.
sounds like
I just wanna
bullshit to
close
me.
with this quote from Ronald
Maybe
Reagan.
a
I
8-year-old
believe amnesty for
somewhere
those who've
may
put
have
down
done that
roots
once.
and lived here, even though they may have entered illegally. I would remind my
Still a
Republican
criminal,
colleagues that
dumbass. If you
put him
entered
on a
illegally,
pedestal,
you are
remember
a
what his
criminal.
teachings are, and with that, I
Criminal.
yield back.
Isn't that funny
Mr.
how they
Fong.
just downplay the hell out of that? Well,
Thank you,
maybe
Mr.
they
Chairman.
entered the country
As
illegally,
someone who
but
represents the food production
but they're
capital of
just
California,
honest,
this bill
undocumented
is
citizens.
No doubt a positive and necessary thing for our agricultural community. My region is just 1% of the total farmland in our country, but we produce a quarter of our country's food. My region grows
No shit.
over 250 different crops. We're 40% of the nation's fruits, nuts, and vegetables. We produce dairy,
Wow.
grapes, cattle, lettuce,
California, I'm
almonds, pistachios,
assuming?
strawberries, tomatoes, carrots. So for
Yeah,
those
it's
who
gotta
go to
be
the grocery
California.
store, I would like everyone to thank the farmers and ranchers in my community that produce the food that we all enjoy.
Oh, they're
Mr.
making
Kester,
big money.
Thank you for what you do to grow
They
cattle
are not hurt.
in our community and
Not
across
the prices
the
we're
country.
paying at the grocery store.
I was wondering if you could talk about how lifting the financial burden that this bill does allows you to empower yourself and your family to reinvest in your ranch, and whether it's buying a new tractor or any other equipment. What does it mean?
Why aren't those Democrats
your
talking to
operations
working class
to allow
Americans?
you
Isn't
to
that the whole
produce the
point
food
for
that
this
we
thing?
Oh,
Why
it means
is she
everything.
complaining to
We
members
were
of Congress?
hamstrung in
That's what the fucking
operations
House is for.
More than a decade because
Because
having to
Democrats
pay
don't
the
care about
federal
everyday
government
people. They don't give a
death
shit.
tax,
They just care about complaining about
liabilities over that
nonsense
period of time.
most of the
And
time.
So now that having bonus depreciation and the increase in Section 179 deductions, it means everything for us being able to have the capital to stay in reserve and not have to pay for taxes, to use it for investing in our communities.
Is Ronald Reagan a police
It
officer? Why
vibrates
is there a
all the
police
way
car
through
there?
Our economy, with equipment manufacturers, feed stores, retails, and so it's vastly important. And I'd like just to say real quickly, for high retail beef prices, it has nothing to do with tariffs. It's simply a supply and demand issue, and we have the.
I might call you out on that, dude. Just because the fact that Trump was touting his epic win over Australia accepting American beef, and we're going to start exporting American beef to Australia of the likes that we've never seen before, with the amounts that we've never seen before. They're going to get so much beef. They're going to get tons and tons and tons of American beef, the best beef on earth, the greatest beef in the whole world. So we certainly have plenty of beef to export to Australia now. I mean, they're going to start taking in truckloads of American beef. So if we have such a shortage of beef, then why was that such a big deal then?
Lowest beef herd since 1961 here in the U.S. Consumer demand.
I mean, he's the
high
farmer.
retail prices,
I guess he would know.
U.S. consumer demand hasn't dropped one iota, to my happy surprise, and it's because of the quality of beef.
Well,
US. So
demand's probably
it's
dropped a
not
little bit,
related
man.
to,
There's a lot of people that can't
tariffs or
afford the
anything
beef
else. It's
prices that
simple
we're
supply and demand,
experiencing right now.
And we just need to grow our beef herd a little bit more.
Why is there a
you read my
shortage?
mind. I was gonna
Why is
ask
there a
you to
shortage of
address
beef?
The beef price issue.
You know what?
think
I
and
bet I
had-
can answer that. It's probably because we've just had an influx of tens of millions of human beings that illegally entered the country over the last few years. They got to eat something. And human beings, they eat beef. They eat beef, they eat chicken. That's also another reason why our grocery prices, why everything is increasing, because tens of millions of people entered our country who are not supposed to be here. They have to eat. They have to eat something. They have to live somewhere. They're all paying rent in some way or another because they're not living on the street. Most of them aren't. They got to live somewhere. So that's also, I'm sure, a major contributing factor as to why our housing and rent
that
costs have gone up so much.
Earlier. And so I think this is important to emphasize that when we talk about
Just all
supporting
the
our
more
farmers and
reason why they
ranchers,
gotta go
this
back
bill
home.
is a huge step forward. And I can say, as someone who represents the food producers in California, that's why this bill is so important and why it had to be done. To Mr. Fulton, as someone
don't
who
they just
represents an
produce
area
more?
also that has been dealing with
Raise more cattle.
wildfires, and of course, as you mentioned before, our entire state.
Unless it's
is
just
in a
greed,
year-round fire
old-fashioned
season.
greed.
I read about your the technology that you're
just don't understand that.
investing
Why is there a
in to help
shortage of
our
beef?
state
was there
meet the demands
this
and to
crazy COVID beef
combat
virus that
wildfires.
just ravaged the
Something
entire
that's
beef
top of
industry?
mind. I think it shows, again, a real-world example.
Like with our egg
of how
shortage
this bill
situation that
allows
proved to be
for, this
almost
research and
completely false.
development,
There was no egg
and
shortage. We were
expensive for
bamboozled.
companies like yours to actually have meaningful impacts.
Egg
to the
industries,
safety
they're reaping
of
in
our
record
communities.
profits right
Could
now.
You
You
talk
can look it up
about
yourself.
How the R&D expensing and how it allows you to accelerate technological innovation within aerospace or within the research you're doing to innovate and develop new technologies and new capabilities?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Absolutely, very excited about this capability. We are going to be able to have predictability, and with that predictability comes accelerated
This dude looks like he's straight out of the
and accelerated
1960s FBI.
economic inputs. And for us, and for our suppliers, which I mentioned earlier, are all throughout California, we are able to really take hold and grasp that, and then expense those R&D expenses for the new RD8 that I mentioned, right? And we can do that faster.
Right.
And when we do that faster, we're going to buy more machining. When we buy more machining, we're going to hire more workers. And we're going to
Hopefully.
continue to expand that footprint. But more importantly, it's actually going to go to serve the community. So that new helicopter with those drones are going to be able to go out with one person on board.
That are eventually going to be controlled by
actually
AI.
Find ignition,
Skynet,
points of ignition
flying all
faster.
these drones.
And we think that's really important. We are in Los Angeles County. We were impacted by the fires. Our workers were impacted by the recent fires. They see the need for this enhancement, and they see the
Yep,
need
and
to
it could have
do
all
it
been avoided with good old-fashioned
100%
water
in the U.S.
in the
And
fire
once
hydrants.
Again, I like to circle around.
Of course,
to the
there was
fact
none.
that our factories are really the closest thing that you will see, we believe, to a modernized World War II factory that exists in our nation. We take raw material and we turn it into aircraft and flying vehicles.
All right.
The advancement of R&D expensing allows us to do that much faster, better, and cheaper.
Sure.
Quite frankly, we just get more bang for our buck.
Thank you. I've run out of time, but I just want to thank you for the testimony. But when you go to the grocery store or you see those helicopters that are fighting the wildfires in our state, in our community, they're benefited by the bill and the bill and the benefits of what we've done. So thank you. Now yield back.
Mr. Kelly.
Thank you,
All right.
Chairman.
I'll probably just watch a
First of
couple
all,
more
thank you
minutes.
all for being here and taking time out of your lives to
Viewership keeps
come and
climbing.
talk with us. I think that Chairman
Looks like
Smith,
they
when
must
we
have
first
started,
I don't know, session, we thought,
maybe
let's
12:30.
take the committee out into the country instead of waiting for the country to come into Washington, D.C., because that's an expensive trip. But meeting with you right here on your ground
not
is
cheap
something
to
that's
stay in
amazing.
D.C.
I'm fascinated by everybody's love of President Reagan, because I actually was alive when President Reagan was alive, and I don't think any president
don't
ever got
say.
more criticism than President
I
Reagan.
don't believe
so I guess
you,
it's
sir.
like people who paint pictures.
You don't look nearly old enough.
Nobody appreciates your talent until after you're gone. But one thing, Dr. Roth, I thought that
Even
as
I was
looked through your
alive when Ronald
testimony, I
Reagan
thought
was
this was
president.
really interesting what you said, because as we talk about President Reagan,
Not nearly as old as he
and
is.
I'm going to read
looks
it
about
because I
twice
think it's
my age.
really important. 4 decades ago, President Reagan spoke to the nation about the risk of growing federal deficits. His words remain just as relevant today.
Oh, yeah. It's a problem.
President Reagan said, I'm asking all
Not
of you,
even President Trump is
Democrats,
helping to
Republicans,
fix that.
and independents,
He raised the debt
give
ceiling
me
by
your
$5
help
trillion.
to put our financial house in order so that our tax spending
Lot of
and
interest,
monetary
man.
policies will not
But
hinder
we're paying
growth,
like,
but
what,
encourage it.
$800 billion a
It
year
is
on
not
interest on that debt?
Not send inflation,
And that's
interest rates
never going to
shooting
go
back
away.
up,
Not until
but
we
keep
pay the
them
debt down.
Heading down, and not drown us
Those people
under
holding
a
American
tidal
debt,
wave
oh my
of
God,
debt,
dude.
but protect
They
us in
love
a
it.
safe harbor
They're always
of
going to be getting
financial
interest payments on
stability
that.
with a sound and powerful economy.
Pretty
So
smart. I should have
when
bought
I
some.
read that, I think there's sometimes people don't understand. I really like to look at resumes, because sometimes just reading somebody's resume really puts into effect, is this a person that actually knows what they're talking about, or are they just talking? I will tell you this, my parents in 1953, my dad was
I
a
mean,
parts
most
maker,
resumes are not
Chevrolet
more than a
warehouse.
page
my
or
mother
two.
ran the switchboard at that same warehouse.
don't want long-winded
he went Off
resumes.
to war, he came back home, went on the road for General Motors, selling parts to dealers. He became a dealer in 1953. I bought that store from him in 1997. My son now runs it for me. But I think we always get so wrapped
Must
around
be
the
nice.
axle on what it is that is really going on
Although
in this
dealerships
country.
are not doing very well
Much
these
like
days.
Charles Dickens in the Tale
They're
of
in a
Two
lot of
Cities.
trouble.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of
Tends to happen when
times.
the average vehicle is like $52,000
We've all
today.
seen the worst of times. We've seen the best of times. So when I read all your
I think
your
some
resumes and
way
stuff, I
worse
thought,
times
this is
are
really important
on the
because you've actually
horizon,
been on the
unfortunately.
field. I personally feel that nobody should serve in a public office unless they've actually been in the private sector, lost their job at least once through no fault of their own. You ever start to
absolutely.
wonder who the heck is making these policies?
I don't know
if
how you
they've
make
never
that a
been in the
requirement,
field,
but
never been in the game. How are they making
absolutely,
policies?
I agree
So
with that.
if you can, and every one of you have an interesting story. Maintaining a business, keeping a business going, making sure that all these different benefits.
Extremely
by the
hard
way,
work.
It's not just the government that provides health care. It's not just the government that provides pensions.
And guess what? When you start a business, there's an 85% chance that your business is going to fail within the first 5 years. And if you're one of those 15% that succeed through the first 5 years, you got an 85% chance of failing within 10 years. That remaining 15% that kept their business above water for 5 years, there's a very high likelihood that your business won't even exist for 10 years. So it's that hard to run a business. It's extremely, extremely difficult.
Private industry does an awful lot of it, and the biggest part of private
I've never done it, but I've got common sense.
So, for Mr. F, I was looking at your resume. You share a little bit about where you started and where you are now. I find that absolutely fascinating, and the same with all of you. Mr. Kastner, you can't do what you do without having actually done it. So, but Mr. Huff, I was really fascinated with your resume.
Thank you. My first job was working for Marriott, and on the way in, I picked up a piece of trash, and they noticed that I picked up a piece of trash, and so all the other people who were applying, they hired me, and from there, I was hired away, and I now
just like
had
that.
the opportunity in 1988 to get hired away from Marriott to build out the chain that I now I actually own now. I purchased it in 2004, and it's been a very interesting ride just because of all the places that I've been and all the things that I've seen. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm fascinated by we talk about how many things are wrong in America, and yet for some reason, millions and millions of people want to come to America. We don't have a problem with people leaving because we know what America is. We're on these panels.
Well, we got a lot of progressives who complain that want to leave, but for some reason they never do. Not even the rich and famous ones do. It's almost as if they love America secretly.
The people in the room today, and the way we think about President Reagan,
they know this is the best game in town.
America that we once knew. It is not the America that I grew up in. I will guarantee you that.
Oh, no.
But there's still, at the end of the day, this is the only place in the world for opportunity. You're not going to have equal
for now.
But you have to have equal opportunity.
It's very quickly dwindling.
Exemplify exactly what that.
The Gen Z, do they have the opportunity to buy a new house today? I think not.
They came to the Reagan Library today to take a look and listen to what we're talking about.
$2,800 mortgage.
But it is truly those on the ground that have actually done it themselves. I sometimes get mixed up with when I hear people talk policy. I said, that's really interesting. So when you were in your business, is that the way you did it? And they look at you and they kind of say, well, I have no idea what you're talking about. I said, I realize that. You couldn't possibly know unless you've actually been through it. Again, working on a commission-only basis and losing your job at least once, that's the wake-up call. That is the wake-up call. And I just guarantee you, there is nobody leaving America because it's such a horrible country.
Yep, been there, done that.
We take care of everybody. We're the first
sure most people have
responder
been there.
anytime anything happens, not only in our country, but any place in the
Except
world.
for, I'm sure, a lot of Congress members. A lot of Congress members probably never lost a job.
Upset when I hear people talk about this.
Think AOC ever lost a job?
That is supposed to be.
I don't know. Maybe.
Really?
To be fair, maybe she has.
It is. It is. And we're always going to be that shining city that the president talked about so much. So thank you all for being here today. We really appreciate your input.
Thank you, Ms. Chu.
All right, we'll just give it another minute
Mr.
or so.
Kim,
I didn't even plan on watching this.
Spent months claiming they cherish Medicaid.
Oh, hell, it's been on for an hour and a half.
About
Okay.
working families and small
It really picked up over the
businesses.
last few minutes in
and
viewership.
then they turned around and passed the most egregious attack on health care that we've ever seen.
Uh-oh.
Their big ugly
How's
bill
up?
slashes over $1 trillion from our health system and it enacts the
Waste,
largest
fraud, and abuse.
takeaway of health care from the American people in our nation's
Just the
history.
illegals.
By gutting Medicaid, ending ACA premium tax credits, and cutting $500 billion from Medicare, all to fund tax breaks for...
How many of those people are dead? How many of those people that are still on Medicare have passed away in even years ago? That's a big part of the factor, lady. And also, again, illegal immigrants, they're getting kicked off of it too.
Billionaires.
Plus
Now,
able-bodied
I spent
people,
many
I'm
years
assuming.
on the House Small Business Committee, and one thing
We don't want
I
to talk
know
about that.
is that in California, millions of people rely on Medicaid and the ACA premium tax subsidies, including 1 in 5 small business owners, workers, and their families. When people lose coverage, they skip care, end up in the ER, and go into enormous medical debt. And that's
Well, a lot of those business owners, they make a hell of a lot more money than I do, but I don't qualify for Medicare. I don't qualify for government health insurance. I'm stuck having to pay for my own, and I don't have good health insurance at all. I have not good health insurance. I mean, we've got deductibles now. We've got premiums now. Like, what is it, like $8,000 you have to pay out of pocket if it's like a 40% copay or whatever the hell it is to get a surgical procedure. It's crushing. It's absolutely crushing. But there's a lot of people in California who are on government benefits that make a hell of a lot more than I do. Now, granted, the cost of living is more expensive there, even though the cost of living where I live is also pretty expensive. But still.
only if they make it to a hospital before it's too late. So, Mr. Kim,
come
what
on.
happens to our
Enough with the drama,
economy
lady.
and small businesses when Republicans rip health care away?
Did you know? Even if you don't have health insurance, it's the law. If you show up at an ER, they have to treat you regardless. They're not just going to kick you out because you don't have Medicare or because you don't have health insurance. At the very bare minimum, they have to at least stabilize you to the point where you can leave the hospital and not drop dead on the way out.
From owners and the very workers like servers, mechanics, daycare providers, and delivery drivers who keep our small businesses running.
Thank you, Congressmember.
Well, you also have to get to the root of the problem. Why are all these people on Medicare? Why don't they just get on their own private insurance? Why not? I mean, I'm sure there's insurance policies available for small business owners. The fact of the matter is they don't want to because insurance is expensive. They're like, well, I don't want to pay $1,000 a month for health insurance when I could just apply for insurance through the government. Living in California, I'm sure they're approving everybody for government insurance. So what they really need to do, they have to go after the insurance companies and try to get those costs down. And just like yesterday when I explained the daycare, the childcare providers, the reason why childcare has gone up so much is because of the extremely high insurance premiums that daycare providers have to pay now. And because they have to pay so much more for insurance, they have to jack up the cost for each child to be placed into childcare. And you've got members of Congress, Democrats, that want to price fix the cost of childcare. And one of them said that they're introducing a bill, I believe, into the House where the person's income, the cost for childcare won't exceed 7% of that person's income. Like, that's the maximum that they're going to have to pay for childcare. So in other words, they're punishing the small business. And all you're going to do is just drive health or childcare providers out of the industry completely. I mean, if everybody only has to pay 7% of their income for childcare, they're going to be making almost nothing. They're certainly not going to be making enough to pay for their insurance. Not to mention the lease of the building where they're providing their childcare, and also the tools, or not the tools, like the goods, the food, the furniture, all those itemized things that go into childcare, plus having to hire other people because one person can't take care of 20 or 30 kids. You got to hire other people. And that's usually one of the most expensive aspects of running a business is employees. So, but nobody's talking about insurance. Go after the insurance companies. That's also why housing is so insane, because homeowners insurance is absolutely crazy. Everybody knows that car insurance has also gotten crazy. And the insurance companies, they just say, well, everything is just more expensive. It's a lot more expensive to fix cars. They often blame electric vehicles. Well, electric vehicles cost a lot more to repair than a standard regular ICE vehicle does. So we have to increase insurance across the board for everybody. Even though just 2% of the American population drives EVs. Or rather, 2% of all vehicles on the road are electric vehicles. But still, they skyrocketed in insurance, in large part blaming the cost to fix electric vehicles. And now we're all stuck paying higher premiums. But it's not just it's the insurance industry. That's at the end of the day. That's really where our government should be. That's who they should be going after, not the small businesses. And they shouldn't just have a blanket solution. Just dump everybody on government insurance. because we don't have the money for that.
Was a small business owner all of his working career, and so I know how tenuous that existence.
I mean, if they keep Medicare where it is right now, how much is that going to be added to the debt over the next couple of years?
Their biggest expense other than housing.
Probably substantial.
When households lose their health care, they become financially destabilized, less able to meet their basic needs, less able to stay housed and to stay employed. And of course, less able to take care of their families. The impacts on small business who are already struggling with the uncertainty of the tariffs, the high cost of goods and services will now be exacerbated by the struggle to find a stable, quality workforce to help them run those businesses. At the same time, ripping away this health care, food assistance, other benefits will mean depressed economic activity, and the buying power of millions of Americans will turn down, which begs the questions, what happens to these small businesses when large portions of the customer base no longer have the money to shop with them?
Mr. Kim, Donald Trump and Republicans have repeatedly lied about the big, ugly betrayal.
Oh, yeah, how so?
This bill that they claim will help the working class and small businesses by providing them with tax relief. And so after they made a massive tax cut for corporations in 2017, from taking it from 35% to 21%, they came up with this 199 Cap A deduction, claiming that it would help small businesses. But the truth is that this so-called small business tax relief, the 199 Cap A deduction, is just another giveaway to the wealthy. In fact, in 2022, the top 10% of taxpayers got pass-through deductions, this deduction, that were 3,000 times larger than those at the bottom. And in fact, it is really shocking, but the data shows that 70% of the benefits flow to the wealthiest 4.5% of the recipients. That means that the crumbs go to the rest of the 30%. And this is because
if you get a tax break, if it drops from like 35% to 20% and you make $50,000 a year, you're going to save a few $1,000s. But if someone who's making $10 million a year, yeah, obviously it's going to be substantially higher because they just simply make more money. Just simply taxing the rich isn't a solution to that. They're always hung up on that.
The smallest entities either don't earn enough income to take advantage
of it,
or can't hire accountants
they want us all to just make the same. They want equity.
Overly complex
They want us all to be equitable.
So this tax
because that's worked out so well anywhere else in the world.
Bill is really a sham. And after it was set to expire, it's just being continued. But this isn't about small business. It's about making the rich richer. So, Mr. Kim, is making a tax deduction permanent that flagrantly caters to millionaires over the smallest business owners, including those earning $50,000 a year, is that good for California small business?
Again, watching my parents run a small mom and pop business, they did not have resources to hire accountants or lawyers. Oftentimes, when they didn't understand some tax document, they would hand it to me or my brother while we were in high school. And so, yeah, they clearly inculcated in me a sense that these rules are for the big boys and not for the mom and pops. At the same time, beyond the misguided, inequitable tax cuts, the failure to extend the temporary enhancements to the ACA premium tax credits means that small business owners in California will see their healthcare costs skyrocket come November. Not a couple years from now, just a few months from now. Many simply won't be able to afford healthcare in the marketplace, or if they do pay the higher premiums, that means they'll have less money to invest in their small businesses or their workers.
Well, then it sounds like you should go after the health insurance industries and find out why exactly they're skyrocketing the costs. Why are they jacking up the cost for healthcare for everybody in that case? Is it because the healthcare providers are just demanding more money? There's got to be a reason for it. And I think the government should be looking into, they're all about price fixing and price capping. Why aren't they capping the cost of healthcare goods and services? Why don't they cap that at, 300%? So if you go into a hospital or a radiology center and you're getting a simple x-ray, instead of them charging you $800 for an x-ray, even though it costs the radiology entity, it only costs them like $50 to give an x-ray, but they're going to charge your insurance company like $800. Oh, it looks like it ended. That's what they should really be focusing on. If you go and get a CT scan, they're going to bill your insurance company thousands of dollars, $5,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. If you're in the emergency room, oh yeah, it looks like it's over. If you're in the emergency room, they're going to charge you thousands of dollars more for a CT scan than if you just went and scheduled it, despite the fact that it costs the same amount of money no matter what. Whether if you're in the emergency room or if you're going to get it scheduled at a radiology center, a CT scan is a CT scan. Now, I know that a doctor, to read and dictate it on an emergency basis, like they have to have someone on staff and on call or whatever to read it, yeah, that'll probably cost a little more because they can charge a little more for that. Just like a plumber, they can charge more for an emergency call rather than a schedule call. I mean, that's just how the world works. But look, it's not costing them thousands of dollars to give someone a CT scan from the hospital's perspective or from the healthcare provider's perspective. It's just not costing that much. It'll cost like what, $150, maybe $200 for a CT scan. Like a CT machine, it costs $2 million, maybe $2.5 million, and they use the same machine for years and years. And they're running 30 patients, 40 patients a day through those in many cases. But yet, they're charging $6,000, $7,000 for each patient. They're charging probably 2,000, 3,000% above and beyond what it's actually costing the facility to provide those services, and that's what they should really go after. Why does it cost $700 for your insurance company to pay for a simple IV when the materials to make an IV probably doesn't amount to more than, what, $15, $18? Plus the nurse's time, because nurses, they make a lot of money, what, $40, $50 an hour, but it only takes, what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to administer an IV. So we're only talking a few bucks worth of a nurse's time to administer an IV, plus the equipment. So what, $25? That's probably about how much it costs the medical facility to administer an IV from start to finish, including the cost to ship the IV goods to the facility and everything in between. So if it only costs $25, then why the hell are they billing your insurance company $700 for an IV? And I'm not very far off on that number. I'm not just pulling that number out of my ass. It actually costs hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to get a freaking IV. And it's crazy. Or somebody goes into the hospital for, let's say, a kidney stone. They go into the emergency room. It's $1,000 just to have the bed. Whether if you occupy that bed for 5 minutes or if you occupy it for 8 hours, they're going to bill your insurance company a minimum of $1,000, if not more than that. And at the end of the day, if you have a kidney stone, for most people, they just have to manage the pain until you pass your stone. So you're only there to get pain control, which the drugs for pain control are only $10, $15, maybe $20, and that's it. But your insurance company is going to be billed thousands and thousands of dollars worth of services that you really, I'm not saying you don't need those services. I'm just saying that they're charging way, way too much for it. So I think that's what the government should be working on. They should be going after not only the healthcare industry or the insurance industry, they should also be going after the healthcare industry and really any other industry that bills insurance companies on a routine basis. And they should get to the bottom as to why it's been hyperinflated to such an absurd degree where somebody goes to get a simple outpatient procedure and it ends up costing the insurance company like $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 because it shouldn't cost that much. It's insane. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. So, anyway, I guess I'll get off on that rant. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. It's just something that I've put a little bit of thought into. I mean, they blame government policies, government action. They blame this, they blame that. And they really should be going after where the fault truly lies. And it's almost as if these insurance companies, they're in the pockets of all these politicians and they just shy away from them. They don't put that front and center, and that's really where it should be. It should be right there. Go after the insurance companies. And I'm sure the insurance companies, they've probably got many good reasons as to why they have to charge as much as they do. So let's get the answers. Let's get to the root of the problem, and then let's fix it. Because there's a lot of greed happening somewhere along that line. All right. Congresswoman Beth Van Duyn. Beth Van Dunn. Thanks to the patient and steady leadership of Speaker Johnson, House GOP is getting the work done to drive America First solutions for our nation. Yeah, they've been touting that all week. Everybody, not just Speaker Johnson, but all kinds of Republicans. They just keep talking about the big, beautiful bill all week. POTUS is reshaping global trade, scaring billions in investment, and opening markets for American farmers, ranchers, and manufacturers. The wins keep winning. Trade deals, Japan, Indonesia. Yep. Skilled trades, financial freedom. Yeah, well, most people can't buy their first house at 20 years old today, dude. That is not happening. Not for the vast majority. Now, I mean, skilled trades, you got a better shot at buying one than you would with just some entry-level job somewhere, for sure. HVAC tech says skilled trades career changed my life. Oh, sure it did. HVAC, man, they make really good money. Especially if you save up to the point where you buy a couple trucks, you buy all the equipment, the tools, you get the overhead, the inventory, take out an LLC, you're on your way, man. Today marks the 35th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, a landmark civil rights law that prohibits discrimination against people with disabilities in everyday life. Justice Department's Civil Rights Division is proud to enforce this vital law. And you know what? Not even employers can discriminate based on disability, which means every facility, they've got the wheelchair ramps, they have the handicapped accessible bathrooms, they even have handicapped accessible desks, elevators, and all that good stuff. So we accommodate people with disabilities across the board in almost every conceivable way. But yet there's millions and millions of people getting disability from SSI, and they're able-bodied enough to work. I bet the majority of people who have disability, even legitimate ones, I'm not saying like the ones with, I've got financial PTSD, so I can't work ever again. Government, you have to pay for everything. I'm not talking about that bullshit, even though there are a lot of people who are on disability for, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to call it ridiculous, because yes, PTSD, it is a serious thing, trauma, anxiety, things like that. But there's a job out there for you. There is something you can do. Whatever triggers your anxiety, just don't get a job in a field where you have to deal with situations that trigger that anxiety. I mean, there's all different types of jobs out there. But yeah, I mean, Americans with Disabilities Act, that should get a lot of people, just that alone, that should knock a ton of people off of disability benefits, because now we accommodate everybody with disabilities. So just about everybody with a disability should be capable of working somewhere or another. I'm not talking about somebody in a wheelchair should be roofing. Obviously, they can still reasonably pick up a phone, especially with technology we have today. I mean, we have talk to text, we have text to speech, we have, I mean, just this mouse that I said that I got recently, this ergonomic mouse. I mean, if you've got carpal tunnel or arthritis, I mean, they even have just basic equipment like a keyboard. They even have ergonomic keyboards and everything. I mean, we've got so much technology available now that most people who are not working and they're on disability, there's probably a sizable percentage of them who just refuse to work because they just don't want to. Why should I do that when the government just pays for everything? Let's see. Trade school enrollment is skyrocketing. I feel like I have just as many, if not more, opportunities than I did coming out of a 4-year university. So I try to stay away from the same account over and over again. So Department of Labor, there's quite a few posts. Plus, I mean, this does fall within 24 hours. But I did bookmark one. So unless that one appears to be more substantially relevant than the last one that I bookmarked, then I'll do a switch. So anyway, had the Cincinnati Enquirer bothered to reach out to us, they would know that this is a lie and a smear. ICE did not give immigration attorney Trisha Chatterjee a phone number to a Taco Bell. What? After she posted the video, ICE Gov even attempted to reach out to her to get her information on her clients. She was provided several avenues to directly contact ICE and help resolve any issues, but she has made no attempt to contact the agency. Homeland Security reposted that. So typically, not always, but typically I not shy away, but I usually skip over the ones where they don't have the government badge, because that's what I try to stick with this. I want to cover things happening in D.C. on the federal level. But yeah, I'm not familiar with all that. An immigration lawyer asked ICE for help. She was given a number for Taco Bell. All right. A testament to the power of the National Guard State Partnership Program. Czech firefighters and search dogs deployed to Texas to aid in flood rescue efforts, working alongside the National Guard. Hey, that's cool. Nice, man. Even getting foreign countries involved. Who was that through? The U.S. Army? I'll bookmark that. I'll give that a look later. Kennedy Space Center. Tune in now to watch NASA's SpaceX Crew 11 arrive at the launch and landing facility. They're going to be taking off on the 31st. So there's still a few days. Still a few days. They're heading up to the space station. So that's happening. I'm going to move past that one because we're not quite at the launch. That's what people really care about. People don't really care about the whole building up to it. They want to see the launch. Boom goes the dynamite. As promised, we've delivered historic wins for all America with the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. See, they're all talking about it, man. That's just all the Republicans are talking about. And then Democrats are all talking about the Big Ugly Bill. The Big Ugly Bill. They weren't very clever with their verbiage this time around. They try to be clever, but didn't work out that time. The One Ugly Bill. Really, that's the best you can come up with? I mean, Democrats used to be pretty clever with their snarky, counter remarks with regard to what Republicans are dealing with. And we're just getting started. We'll keep building on this momentum and for even more progress. Border security. Presidential library. Talk about the One Big Beautiful Bill. Yep, we saw that. Check that out for a little bit. All your exes might live in Texas or Florida, but if they're here illegally, we'll be happy to assist with their deportation. Oh, man, that is hilarious. We recently got a tip from someone whose abusive ex overstayed a tourism visa. Now he's queued up for deportation. Well. Funny. Uh-oh. USGS earthquakes. Notable quake. Preliminary info. Magnitude 6.6 in Macquarie Island region. Where is Macquarie Island? Macquarie Island. I'll click on it, but it's probably not going to show. Maybe it will. I've clicked on this before, but only once before was there one. There was one in Russia 5-6 days ago that was a magnitude like 7.6 or something. The island region. See, it won't let me zoom out. I don't know where the hell that's at. I'm assuming the Pacific Ocean. I could plug in the coordinates. I could do that. Do some coordinates. Move the maps over here. Plug in the coordinates. See where that's at. That's where the earthquake happened. Right there. I don't see an island, though. Damn, that's in the middle of nowhere. Holy shit. Macquarie Island region. Oh, the region. So that's just... Hey. What are you doing to me, man? Come on, man. Come on, man. Australia. Ooh. All right. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Macquarie Island Station. Island Station. So yeah, it happened around there somewhere. Damn, that is way south. Way, way south. Damn near Antarctica. I've never even heard of this island. Have you ever heard of this island? Macquarie Island Station. It's not snow covered, at least not at the time of this image. Penguin colony. So I'm assuming it's uninhabited. Full time. I mean, that'd be miserable. To be that isolated. Hold on. So 10 miles. So probably what, 15 miles long, roughly. Ooh wee. Now I think the most isolated island is somewhere around here, I think. I can't remember the name of it. Maybe it's this one. No, I don't think that's going to be it. No, there's one somewhere. I want to say it's in this area. Maybe it's this island here, maybe. No. I don't know, I can't remember, but it's the most isolated island in the world. That's what it is. Tristan da Cunha. Yeah, it's so isolated that mail service, and I believe it's the UK mail, the Royal Mail. I think it's them who deliver it. It's so isolated they only go there like twice a year. Whoops. Let's see if I was right. I was right. I was kind of right. Where is it? Where is it? Man, that's a beautiful island, man. See, I wasn't far off. I knew it was around there somewhere. That's a beautiful island. But yeah, it is inhabited. Something like, what, maybe 1,000 people? Something like that. Yeah, Edinburgh. Edinburgh of the Seven Seas. People live there. I have no idea what the hell they do. I don't know what you do for a living if you live out there. Maybe fishing? I don't know, man. Those waves are kind of rough. Maybe. It's a big-ass volcano. Queen Mary's Peak. Is it active? God forbid. See photos. Ooh, photos. I know I'm getting off topic. I do. I get lost in Google Maps. Anybody else do that? You just start looking at something on Google Maps, and next thing you know, like 2 hours have gone by, and you've been all over the world and back again. All right. I'll just leave. I'll leave this open because maybe I'll need it again. All right. Earthquakes, man. Earthquakes. All right. GOP. I just had a very good call with the Prime Minister of Cambodia. This is Trump's Truth social account. And informed him of my discussion with Thailand and his acting prime minister. Both parties are looking for an immediate ceasefire and peace. They are looking to get back to the trading table with the United States, which we think is appropriate to do so until such time as the fighting stops. They have agreed to immediately meet and quickly work out a ceasefire and ultimately peace. It was an honor to deal with both countries. They have a long and storied history and culture. They will hopefully get along for many years to come. When all is done and peace is at hand, I look forward to concluding our trading agreements with both. Cambodia and Thailand. I was not aware that they were at war with each other. I don't know if war is the right way to put it, but all right, I'll look into that. Semper Supra. For Space Force. First Space Forces. Democrats are trying to won't cut your tax. No, dude, Democrats, they don't cut taxes. No, they love taxes. They love it. More taxes, more spending, more money in a roundabout way that finds its way into their pockets. A Democratic candidate for Senate in Texas during a workout. They're posting weightlifting videos in search for a midterm lift. That's cringe. That's a cringe fest. Look, I'm an everyday American. I can lift weights. So, Did you know you can check border wait times online? Find the wait time for your location. And it doesn't really pertain to most people. But there you go. You can check that out. Macaroni salad, huh? Keep cold foods below 40 degrees. Prevent foodborne illnesses. Always a good idea. Train tracks. Don't mess around on them train tracks. Moving along. Americans. See, that didn't just happen. They posted this an hour ago, but this didn't just happen. That was several days ago. It was probably almost a week ago at this point. Oh, yeah, this week at State. You know what? I will bookmark that because they don't just cover the Americans returning from Venezuela. They'll probably cover a couple of other things. I'll give it a play. Why not? Got to shrink it, make it smaller.
Welcome to the Week at State. Our week began with Secretary Rubio announcing the return of Americans who were wrongfully detained by Venezuela. Every wrongfully detained American in Venezuela is now free and back home. Under President Trump's leadership, we are committed to bringing all Americans home. And President Trump secured fair trade agreements with the Philippines, Indonesia, and Japan. Eliminating unfair tariff barriers imposed on U.S. goods
that was a big deal with Japan.
To rebalancing global trade. For far too long, our country has been taken advantage of. Thankfully, we now have the greatest dealmaker in history as
bent
president.
Over,
Additionally,
way over,
the United States underscored how our participation in international organizations must benefit Americans.
Not anymore.
To that end, the United States vetoed
now we're going to be doing the
World Health Organization International Health Regulation Amendments,
World
so
Health
Americans
Organization.
retain control over American health policy. We also
that was an epic win because the World Health Organization, they wanted to have the ability to shut down the entire planet in the event that there could be certain outbreaks or health emergencies. And it was a very vague and very blanket kind of statement that they were, or policy that they were trying to push through to where they had the authority to essentially shut down the planet in case we have another pandemic. Even though pandemics, they come around like every century, something like that. Now, of course, there's outbreaks happening regionally here and there. But this whole COVID thing, of course, I'm not even going to go there with the whole manufactured and all that. But historically, we only have world outbreaks, global outbreaks like that somewhere around like once in a century. The last big one was Spanish flu back in the 1910s. But yeah, Trump and the federal government, we did not give WHO that authority, at least not over American citizens. Thank God.
Our intention to withdraw
I'm sure Kamala Harris would have.
In part because of its role advancing divisive social and cultural causes.
We did.
Which
we
are
left
at odds
UNESCO.
With our America First foreign policy.
Yep, because they're woke. They're all about equity and gender this and LGBTQ that and everything. They're trying to put all that shit first. And also, if I'm not mistaken, I think UNESCO is trying to make Palestine, or they're trying to bring Palestine to the table as its own sovereign nation or something like that. But anyway, yeah, we backed out of UNESCO. We're no longer a part of UNESCO anymore. But that's not the first time that we've backed out of UNESCO. We've done it twice in the past. We did it in early 1980s. It was like 1982 or something like that. And then we did it again in 2017 under Trump. We backed out of UNESCO again, and I'm assuming Biden put us right back into it. So sounds like it's just going to be another one of those situations. Next time we get a Democrat president, we're going straight back into UNESCO. And then when we get a Republican president, we're going to be yanked right out of UNESCO. Just jumping back and forth.
Secretary Rubio also had a busy week, meeting with the president of the Philippines and foreign ministers. Advancing American interests never stops for our nation's top diplomat. Finally, President Trump departs for Scotland to meet with UK Prime Minister Starmer and refine the great US-UK trade deal brokered earlier this year. And that was our week. And as the Scottish say, haste you back.
Haste you back, huh? All right, man, let's go. It was a hell of a good week overall. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Ways and Means Committee. Oh, yeah, I'm going to make this bigger. Ooh, yeah, that's what she said. Oh, yeah, yeah. Bigger. Bigger's better. What did I have it at? 200? Uh-oh, no. Not that big. Not that big. She said that too. Oh, no. All right. I'll calm down. House, Homeland, GOP, law enforcement deserves access to the highest level of preparation we can provide, and that is exactly what Federal Law Enforcement Training Center delivers. Former police officer shares why House GOP is bolstering FLETC. What is that? Nation's largest provider of law enforcement training. We train those who protect our homeland. All right. It's usually slow on the weekends. It's Saturday. 83% of hourly workers support Trump's no tax on tips. Oh, yeah, of course. So 17% don't. 17% of hourly employees are pissed off that they're not taxing tips. That's what I'm reading here. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Now, look, 17%, it just doesn't pertain to them. I mean, like for me, I'm an hourly employee, but I don't get tips. So, but I 100% support it. I'm not going to be against it just because I don't get tips. I mean, look, I tip people. We all tip people. We get pizza delivered to our house. We go to restaurants. We get our hair cut. We give tips out. And yeah, it would be nice knowing that the $5 or the $6 or $10 that you're giving in the form of a tip isn't going to be taxed by the federal government. I mean, that's a good thing. Now, just don't let that get to your head to the point where you think to yourself, well, I can just tip less now, because technically, even though I was giving them a 15% tip, the government was getting their sticky, greedy fingers all over it. So they were really, at the end of the day, only getting 12% of that 15% tip. But now that they're getting the entire 15, I'll just tip them 12% now, because either way, they're just going to get the same amount of money. No. That's not what it's all about. So don't tip less just because they're not getting taxed on it, because they could use the money. Because a lot of tip-based employees, they're not making minimum wage hourly, especially servers. There's a lot of servers. I mean, it's been a long time since I was in the restaurant industry, but I wasn't a server. I was a busser, but we had a tip-sharing system. And the servers, they were only making like $3 an hour. But including the tips, they actually did pretty well. They didn't do bad. I want to keep my money personally. That sentiment rang loud and clear at today's Ways and Means GOP field hearing. That's exactly what the One Big Beautiful Bill delivers. More money back to hardworking Americans and a return to personal responsibility. All right. I'm just jotting notes down and on my other screen. Doing some homework. I'm sitting here doing this regardless. I mean, why not just record it while I'm doing it? Rep Jason Smith 2 hours ago. Oh yeah, we already know that. We know they're at the Ronald Reagan place, the presidential library. Look at this, man. I mean, Clay Travis, he's not a government guy. GOP reposted it. But see, if I bookmark that, I don't think it's going to say that. So I don't really want to bookmark it, even though I really do. Democrats have hit a 35-year low in approval ratings per Washington Journal. Correct? Wall Street Journal. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking Washington. I don't even know. Whatever. Wall Street Journal poll. They've completely lost men and are working on losing sane women too. It's not a messaging issue. Voters hear what they are saying and just hate it. They get the lowest rating from voters in 35 years. Most issues that decide elections, despite respondents' unease with President Trump over the economy, tariffs, and foreign policy. But, Trump, he's only been president for about 6 months now. So the whole economy thing, that absolutely was Joe Biden's issue, even though probably technically wasn't his fault because he wasn't cognitively there. But I will say, though, they have got to get the housing issue under control. They've got to get the insurance issue under control and inflation on our food, because a lot of young Americans, they're going to be paying attention. And if Republicans aren't tackling those very pressing issues head on, which I don't think they really are, at least they don't seem to be. I get it that they're lowering taxes. The housing is, in my opinion, priority number one with regard to securing the young American vote. because they're looking at the landscape, the economic landscape, and they're not seeing a lot of upward mobility at all. Not in Gen Z, not at all. The average house approaching $400,000, and that's national average. And someone who's just getting started in life, even with fresh out of college with a degree, even in that circumstance, they're dealing with crushing debt from the get-go. And now they're expected to take out a $2,800 mortgage payment, and that doesn't even include the skyrocketing cost of homeowners insurance. Also, property taxes have gone up substantially. I mean, that's what Democrats are going to lean into, the whole socialism aspect, that you shouldn't vote for Republicans because look how expensive everything is. Of course, Democrats are absolutely not the answer to that. They're only going to make things even worse. Arguably, they're the reason why everything is in the situation where it's at right now anyway. And one of the biggest reasons, again, my opinion, is because of the illegal immigrant situation. Tens of millions. How many? I've heard 15 million. I've heard 25 million. I've heard 50 million. I think even one political representative even touted like 60 million or something like that illegal immigrants that are here. Now, a lot of them are children, so they're not adults. They're not paying their own rent, but tens of millions are. And that's a large part of the reason why housing is so damn expensive, because we had this huge influx of working adults enter America, and they got to live somewhere. So that's what they really have to be working on. Of course, you can make the argument that Republicans are working on that, on getting illegal immigrants out of the country. And when that happens, it's going to open up a much larger supply of housing availability for whether if it's apartments or townhomes or condos or just straight up houses, even renting. That's going to open up a lot more inventory, which should drive down costs. Supply and demand, buddy. Of course, new home construction has been substantially down since 2008, and it hasn't really recovered very much, which a lot of the politicians are blaming that. They're like, well, there's just not enough available houses. Well, not in the state of Florida. In the state of Florida, yeah, in the year 2022, we only had about 7,000 houses available across the whole state that were for sale. Just 7,000. In a state where we have a population of over 20 million people, there were only 7,000 houses on the market for sale back in the height of the housing shortage or whatever you want to call it. But right now in the state of Florida, there's over 250,000 homes on the market currently. But yet, the cost of housing hasn't really gone down. It's gone down regionally. Fort Myers, Cape Coral, it's gone down a lot. Tampa, I think it's reduced like 7, maybe 8%. That's not nearly enough, man. Not nearly enough. The average house or the average household income in the Tampa area where I live is about $68,000, roughly about $70,000 a year per household. But yet, in order to qualify for the average priced home to get a mortgage, 30-year mortgage, you have to be earning a household income of $106,000 just to afford it. And that's just the average house. Sounds like a bubble to me. All right, so that asshole got arrested. It's funny, they keep showing these pictures, which I know they don't want to show their faces, the law enforcement. But Homeland Security, they're posting images like this all the time. The same with ICE. Even the FBI, they're showing a lot of images of their law enforcement agents that have their backs turned while they're showing dude who's getting deported. Here's another asshole. And they're mostly criminals. Actually, they're probably all criminals. Trump administration hunts down. See, I don't like the way they frame that. I mentioned that yesterday. They hunt down 13,000 migrant kids after Biden administration lost track of them. It makes it sound like that hunting down. That just sounds too violent. They should have said the Trump administration is desperately searching for, or something along those lines. 320,000 children. That's how many kids went missing under Biden. 320,000 missing. And they're undocumented, which makes it even worse because they're damn near impossible to find. The atomic bomb. Angelo State. Ice. Okay. Am I gonna get copyrighted just for humming this song? That wouldn't surprise me. A glimpse into the future. The F-15EX touched down at Kadena Air Base, giving a first look at how we are modernization air power in the region. We are the modernization air power in the region. That didn't read off very well. Hey, look at this. The FBI's 117th birthday is today. Through these years, we fought crime, countered terrorism, supported victims, engaged with communities, and forged strong partnerships. We are proud to serve and protect the American people, upholding the Constitution every day. Happy birthday, FBI. I'm not too crazy about the FBI. Many Americans are not. I'm sure that their faith is slowly but surely being restored with regard to the FBI. At least let's hope. Let's hope they're cleaning it up in all the right ways. Indo-Pacific Command. Fighting the good fight. See, here it is. Check this out. White House. Trump celebrates Australian imports of American beef. They want to take they are taking U.S. beef for the first time. A very big market. I hope our great farmers are happy and make America great again. I just don't understand. I just don't get it, because the beef in the U.S. is very expensive. We all know that. Ground beef, steak, T-bone steak, filet mignon, like any kind of beef, it's extremely expensive, man. And when you ask people, the officials, the politicians, the business owners, why is beef so expensive? What's their answer? Well, there's a shortage. There's a shortage of beef. That's why it's so expensive. Okay, well, if there's such a shortage of beef, then why the fuck are we exporting so much of it to Australia then? Shouldn't we not do that and just put more of it into the American market so we could drive down the cost of beef? Oh, give me a fucking break, idiot. See, look, while average Americans can't even afford to buy a steak, he celebrates our meat being shipped to other countries. See, that's what I'm talking about. I'll even give him a like for that. Look, I don't agree with Trump on everything. I voted for the man 3 times. I'm all about Trump. You know, I'm on the Trump train, but he ain't perfect. And I don't agree with this because this doesn't make sense to me. Because at my local grocery store, to buy a 1 pound cut of, let's say, sirloin steak, it's damn near $20 for 1 pound. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Beef going to Australia, dollars coming back. I mean, I get it. I get it, but I don't get it. I won't get into any more than that, but whatever. All right, well, let's move on from there. I don't get it. I would assume the Washington Times might elaborate on that. Beef is still extremely expensive in the United States, but yet we're shipping our beef off to other countries. Are we getting beef from other countries? Probably. The United States opposes the French government's release and expulsion to Lebanon of convicted terrorist Jorge, is that it, Georges? Ibrahim Abdallah. His release threatens the safety of U.S. diplomats abroad and is a grave injustice to the victims and the families of those killed. The United States will continue to support the pursuit of justice in this matter. All right. Let's see what else we got. Six months of PDEX. Pledged, but America first. Sanction Cartel de los Sols as a specially designated global terrorist. I mean, that should go without saying. Venezuela-based criminal group headed by Maduro and other high-ranking individuals in the Maduro regime. All right, I'll bookmark that. From the Treasury Department. Done things the way they've always been done. It works. It doesn't. Well, we can do to change the VA. I've never been in the military. I tried to go, but I'm half deaf. My left ear is completely stone deaf, 100% deaf, so they wouldn't take me. It bummed me out because my grandfather was Air Force. My father was Air Force. My brother's Air Force. I tried. They wouldn't let me.
I have found the VA to be just like any unit that you go into in the military. I don't care what branch you're in. You can go to one unit and it's hitting like clockwork, and then you go to another unit, something's off. You can tell when you walk in. VA's like that. I mean, we're an organization that is large and siloed in many ways. That was something that I found. So for me, it's just calling balls and strikes. It's just saying, okay, I don't understand why we're doing this. You as the doctor, explain this to me. You as the benefits person, explain this to me. Why are we?
Yeah, one big thing that he's working on is the implementation of DMT therapy, hallucinogenic therapy, because so many veterans have said that it worked magnificently with regard to their PTSD or anxiety or whatever mental issues that are going on. And I'm sure Joe Rogan's all about that. I'm sure that he probably talked about that extensively on his show. I don't watch his show really anymore. I used to, but yeah, that is one thing that VA Secretary Doug Collins is working to implement into the VA, which I think would be a massive win.
And then it came down to how do we fix it? This became the interesting part, and we're still dealing with this. We have a lot of statute that we have to deal with. That's law. That means that Congress has decided that in their wisdom, they've decided to make a law. The president signed it, and we have to deal with it. And so if we run up against a problem that is statute, then I've told our folks, I said, well, we'll go to Congress and say, we need you to look at changing this because right now it's causing a problem and we can't do it. But what I kept finding was they would say, well, they come in and say, sir, again, this is a statute issue we have to deal with. We have to do this. And then I made the statement. I said, well, show me the statute. Crickets. Well, it's there, and then we do. And I said, just show me the statute and see if we can work around. I'll work on writing a new law and let's get it changed.
What the fuck it says.
And then policy said, and then we changed statute. There we go. Policy. So then it becomes policy and it becomes regulation. That I have full control over.
Right.
Because that's what. So what we're doing is we're dividing the problems. We're looking at it. So for me, stepping into it is let's for the first time have a secretary who's got your back. I want you to tell me the honest truth. Tell me what works, what doesn't work.
Yep.
How do we make it better? And I think that's starting to permeate again. And then going back to what we first started with, it's about a veteran.
Hell yeah, man. There we go. Let's go. That is hilarious, man, that they're like, well, it's statute. Okay, let's show me the statute. Well, maybe it's not the statute. So you just lied to my fucking face then. Well, it's just like policy, man. It's just like policy. Yeah, well, dude, I am the policy. I am the VA. Secretary Doug Burgum, we need more power to manufacture intelligence. Yeah, we definitely have a shortage of that thanks to the policies, I like that, of our university system in the past several years, past decade. woke policies. We want to see people in public housing grow and launch themselves to a life of self-sustainability. Oh, yeah. See, not only do they house those in need, they give them the tools to learn valuable skills to improve their lives. I mean, yeah, that's good, I suppose. Got to bring down the cost of housing and childcare. I'm telling you, you got to go after the insurance industry. 35th anniversary, Americans with Disabilities Act. Hey, look at that. Same with the FBI. 35th anniversary. See, look at that, dude. Americans with Disabilities Act. It has gotten so involved in everyday people who have disabilities. It's gotten, so thorough, the Americans with Disabilities Act, that they've even made our nature trails wheelchair accessible. It's even gotten that extensive. I bet he works full time. All's I'm saying, man. Just saying, a lot of people, when the Democrats say that they're losing their Medicare and they're losing this and losing that, we got to downsize the government. We got to reduce spending. It's absolutely out of control. And look, the Trump administration, they're going in the right direction, but at the end of the day, it's not enough. It's not nearly enough. And I'm sure Elon Musk was probably frustrated with the workings of Doge because they laid out all kinds of stuff, all this bloat that they could get rid of. And at the end of the day, a small percentage of it was actually put into the bill or was actually looked at with any seriousness. See, look at that, man. All public lands allow service animals and provide a free lifetime access pass for people with disabilities. Really? Well, how come they get special? How come they get to go in for free and I can't? Well, I'm half deaf. I have absolutely no hearing in my left ear. Does that allow me free access? Because I have no sense of sound direction. I don't. I have zero sense of sound direction. If I hear thunder out there, I have no idea where it's coming from. If I hear the phone ring and I don't have my eyes on the phone, I have no idea where it is. I have to turn the house upside down looking for my freaking phone when it starts ringing. Plus, I suffer from vertigo and a number of other issues. When I talk on the phone, I can't switch ears. That sucks. I can't enjoy surround sound in the movie theater. I haven't heard surround sound in 26 years. All right. Moving along. Hijacking attacks. One big beautiful bill. See, they're on the big beautiful bill still. Signed into law 2020. Sub minimum wages, its impacts. USCCR. U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. Veterans Affairs. Sarcoma. Reentry after removal is a federal crime punishable by prison time. Ooh. And then deportation. Did you know that? If the government forced them out of the country, deported them, and they come back in, they're looking at prison time. See, the problem is some of these people, I don't think they would really have a major problem with that. Just depends on the circumstances from where they came. Wildfire risk. Hold on. It's time to dive in how these essential projects come to life. Yep. Reducing flammable vegetation in designated areas. The tools used vary based on the ecosystem. Some areas require heavy machinery while others can be tackled with chainsaws or graders. And that's a problem with California. They don't manage their forestry not nearly good enough. They just let all that kindling just build up year after year, all those pine needles that are all over the forest floor. You have to do controlled burns. If you do controlled burning, you won't have a massive wildfire outbreak. We do it here in Florida. Every so often. I don't know how often it is, like every 10 years or however long, but they do controlled burnings. And California doesn't want to do that because, it's bad for the environment. The poor animals, the poor squirrels. We can't do controlled burns. We don't want to burn their homes down. All right. Well, then when most of them are not natural wildfires. Most of them are just idiots that either start a campfire or they throw a cigarette out the window or something, and then the entire state burns down. U.S. Marines. Oh, man, that's badass. Look at that. That's cool. Got the whole fleet. ATF Washington. Gun violence, law enforcement, and the medical profession are intertwined. All right. Everybody should have a gun. Matter of fact, every American home, guns should outnumber people. How do you like that? What Maine is reading this morning. They'll never stop fighting for Mainers. U.S. Department of Education will release $20 million in withheld funds to Maine. But see, the Democrats, they were blaming Trump for that. They said that Trump, or the Trump administration, that they were holding back $6 billion in education. They didn't give the reason why they were withholding it. I'm sure they had a good reason for it. Probably because they didn't want it to go to a bunch of woke ideologies. So maybe they released it once they put out the legislation necessary. Whatever it was that Trump signed, executive orders, getting rid of wokeness in the public school system. Once all that was implemented and made into law, then they got their money. I don't know if that's really what happened. I'm just assuming. Test fire crime guns. Dude, that'd be awesome. Erie felon, 6 years in prison, fentanyl trafficking. Another illegal alien arrested. See? Law enforcement got her back to the camera. Why did they blur his face out? Show us his face. He will now face prosecution for assault on a federal officer. All right. Hey, look at that. Biggest trans mutilation clinic shuts its doors thanks to Trump's common sense executive order. Common sense is back, baby. We'll give that a bookmark. Because I'll look that up. I wish they would have linked that Federalist article. I could probably dig it up. Safe America. Landmark trade deals after the brief. Yeah, that was a couple days ago. That was a few days ago. CBP. Statement, National Disability Independence Day. We must continue the fight for equal wages. Not equal across the board, though. That's, a janitor making the same amount as a doctor. Bee balm. Wildflower. Hummingbirds. Nice. Well, that's nice. They remembered him. Bombers were the creators and starting point of all the division and current anti-American chaos we're witnessing in American history. Yep. I mean, yeah, according to Democrats, when Obama won in 2008, that was supposed to bring the country together like never before. The first black president. Now we can get rid of racism altogether, but nope. No, man, they just ratcheted it up more and more and more. More ADA. ICE Phoenix officers. Mexican fugitive arrested. Oh, wait, hold on. What was this? Future Rangers are pushing past the pain, fear, and fatigue to earn the school. Okay. No excuses, no shortcuts. Nope. Can't do it. Can't make it easier for transgenders or women. Look, women, they should be able to join the Rangers if they've got the physical ability to do so. Fun in the sun. Dude, those are so badass. Those are so cool. Iwo Jima. High-paying jobs, great benefits. Air traffic controllers. Yep, it's been the talk of the town for the last several days. We have a shortage, 20% shortage of air traffic controllers. There's only 14,000 nationwide, and to be on par, we have to have 17,000. They make good money, man. If you're looking for a new career, air traffic controllers, their starting salary is between $90,000 and $190,000. I looked that up the other day. It's a lot of money. Representative and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in March, I sent a letter supporting Vaughn Careers' application for the ATCTI, a program that expands air traffic controller training and makes our skies safer. Today, Rep. Tom Swazi and I celebrated Vaughn's entry into this program and the opportunities it will bring New Yorkers. And I believe he's a Republican, isn't he? Maybe not. No. I don't know. Either way, air traffic controllers, man. At least until Skynet takes over. Routine training, 22 hours ago. So yeah, I'm starting to get into the older stuff. 16 hours. I don't speak Spanish. Yeah, we already got that. Abigail Spanberger and Ghazala Hashmi think your daughter should compete and share a locker room with biological men. That's insane. Yeah, it is. New Jersey GOP. U.S. Border Patrol change of command. Oh, they should change his badge to gray, I think. President Trump, American energy is such a big deal, and we will drill, baby, drill. Well, hopefully we bring as many nuclear facilities online as we can. Of course, it takes years. Yeah, a lot of what they're posting, it's just repeat from during the week, which it's Saturday. They're going to do that. It's the weekend. They're just basically just copy pasting what they've posted earlier in the week. So I don't want to cover what I already covered. Same with this. I already covered that either yesterday or the day before. All right, so let's head over to the fun stuff. We're done with the government lists. Now let's head over to the members of Congress. This is where it gets a little more fun. The Congress members. Now, in my experience going through this list, there tends to be more Democrats who post, who tweet, what have you, than Republicans. You know what? Actually, before I do that, let me show you something I just found yesterday on my profile. Look at this. I posted this 14 hours ago. X has 118.3 million active monthly users in the US and the UK, according to Google. Blue Sky has just 3.5 million. Substantially less, and Blue Sky lost 50% of active monthly users in the last 6 months. And I brought the receipts. Again, this is from Google. As of early 2025, Blue Sky has approximately 27.44 million monthly active users globally. A more recent estimate based on activity within the last 90 days suggests a lower number of active users, around 13 million. That's in the last 90 days. This discrepancy might be due to fluctuating user engagement or differing data collection methods. You notice how Google just tries to cover for them. Here's a breakdown of the figures. So down here at the bottom, 3.5 million. That's the estimated number of daily active users in the US and the UK combined, according to Socially In. Now, over for X in the US, X, formerly Twitter, has around 95.40 million users in the UK and 22.9 million users in the US. And then in the UK, 22.9 million users. Therefore, combined 118.3 million. So Blue Sky, it ain't doing too well. Not doing too well. AOC, She is the most popular person on Blue Sky, and she's only posted 4 times in the last 2 weeks. But over on X, she posted 24 times. Interesting. Yep, number 1. She is the number 1 most followed, most subscribed to person on Blue Sky, but she's never on it. Yeah, it's turned into a political cesspool over there. They tried to recreate late 2010s Twitter over on Blue Sky, and it's not working out too well. If you say one thing that they oppose over there, they'll just dogpile on top of you and just mass report you and just try to get you banned, which I'm sure they're pretty effective at doing that. Yep, leftists, they do that. They have a way of doing that. They, man, I wish I had a company offhand. I'm trying to think of just, so Business X, they tout something that the left just generally disagrees with. What, I don't know, just insert whatever you want. And what they'll do, they'll have 10,000, 20, 30,000 left-wingers, progressives, that will mass email them. They'll flood their X account or whatever social media that they're on, telling them how much they hate the policy. I'll never shop with you again. I'm not going to do business with you anymore. So it'll appear that they're getting thousands of people saying it. The company freaks out. They assume the entire American public feels this way, and then they change their policy. The progressives, they're very effective at doing that. All right, so our intelligence agencies should release as much information as possible about the Obama, Brennan, and Comey collusion against President Trump's 2016 campaign. Absolutely. From Breitbart. That was just 7 minutes ago. I'll read it. I'll read the article later on. President Trump is right. Clear the 135. Republicans must play to win. Clear the 135. So badly needed. Yep. Nominee confirmation backlog. I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're just going to go on recess. The excuse that they typically give is, well, we have to go back home and talk to our constituents. We have to get feedback from them. We have to talk about the one big beautiful bill with the locals. You know what? I might bring that up. AI Action Plan, Launchpad for American Innovation, National Competitiveness, National Security. It will cut red tape, set America as a leader in the global race to build and deliver on the promise of artificial intelligence. Let's see. Heart of the Golden Age, acceleration product, advancements. Not a single word about electricity demand. Maybe I'll bring that up. No shit. It's the post office's anniversary too. Look at that. So the Post Office, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and the FBI. All right, I'll bookmark that. Yeah, we know they're at the Presidential Library. We know they're there. Truman desegregated the armed forces in 1948. Yet nearly 80 years later, we're facing efforts to roll back progress and limit brave service members who are willing to risk their lives to protect our nation. That's why I'm proud to have introduced the Fit to Serve Act, which ensures protections for transgender service members. No one who is fit to serve should be barred from defending our country. Well, first off, the military shouldn't be paying for their procedures. We shouldn't be paying for transgender medications, for hormones and all that shit. Sex-free assignment surgery. Nope, we're not paying for that. That does nothing to improve our armed services in any way, shape, or form. Plus, besides the amount of people in American society who identify as transgender, I believe it's less than 0.5%. So we're talking such a tiny drop in the bucket. Whatever your sex was at the time you were born, that's the area that you belong in the military. If you don't like it, then just don't join the military. Polluters first. Instead of protecting our health, Trump is putting polluters first and rolling back standards that protect us from mercury pollution. Calling on the EPA to stop this rollback and keep our community safe. Ooh. Coal-fired power plants, they emit mercury. Oh, so that's what it's all about. They want to get rid of coal-fired power plants. And then, of course, what's your solution? I'm sure they don't name one. Wind and solar, that's our solution. Wind and solar. Because mercury production, or mercury as a byproduct, totally doesn't ever happen when they're building solar panels. I bet it does. Let's see. Mexican-American Heritage. Mexican-American Museum of Texas launched its permanent collection. Cesar Martinez, Gil Rocha, Luis Guerrera, Jesus Toro Martinez. Yeah, why not? That's a good thing, I guess. I'm not from Texas, so it doesn't really pertain to me. Will be once lay off federal workers, the least they can do is tell Congress the cost of the plan and how basic services will still get done. Oversight. They shouldn't let VOT or anyone else shut us out. Well, it depends on the services. I'm sure basic services will still get done. We just have too much bloat in the government. We got 5 million people in government that are employed by the federal government. That's too many people, man. Too many people. How do you address the national deficit that keeps skyrocketing due to government spending? How are we going to get that down, Rep. Mike Levin? Because we got to get the answers one way or another. We can't just keep piling up the debt for all eternity because we're paying interest on that debt. It's in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Matter of fact, I'll look it up right now. How much interest are we paying on the national deficit right now? Look at this. Look at this shit. $921 billion in interest on the national debt in fiscal year 2025. That's per year. $921 billion a year. Now let me look up one more thing. Now I know businesses, they pay taxes too. I get it. But I'm just going to break it down for just everyday Americans. 153.8 million. 153.8 million. So 921 billion. Divided by, what was the number again? 153. Whoops. Uh-oh. Divided by 153. Yeah, that's almost $6,000 a year per American that we have to pay in interest per year. $6,000 for each tax-paying American citizen. That's how much interest we're paying on the deficit as it stands right now. If the national deficit doesn't move an inch from here on out, if it stays at $37 trillion and it just holds there and stays there, we are forever going to have to pay $6,000 per American per year. Forever. And obviously, it's only going to go up as our national deficit goes up. So that is my answer to you, sir. That we are laying off workers. We're trying to trim the fat in the federal government because everyday Americans, we can't afford $6,000 a year just on interest. I mean, we're all well aware of how interest works. I mean, a lot of people have credit cards. A lot of people have car payments. We get how interest works. And the people who hold the American national debt, they're obviously happy about it because they're just going to constantly, for decades and decades, they're just going to keep getting more and more interest money forever. It's never going to go away because nobody's got any answers as to how we're going to get this national deficit under control. How are we going to get rid of it? So that way we can start keeping $6,000 a year per American. Could you imagine that? Imagine if we had no deficit and we had an extra $6,000 per American per year, per tax-paying American. That is a problem. All right. Four minutes. Maybe I'll play it. We'll see. I don't know. Let's see. You know what? I kind of went on a rant already. 250 years. Post office. Rick Scott. Spotted in New York. Florida is the place to escape socialism. Move to Florida. No, dude. We got enough people here, Rick Scott. We have enough. Don't move to Florida. Let's see. Yeah, whatever. Whatever. It's not like he's going to read it. One fentanyl death is too many. That's why I'm working with law enforcement and local leaders to keep this deadly drug out of your communities for good. Well, good. Absolutely should be doing that. Congressional interns, fellows, on your graduation, it was an honor to hear your stories and see the passion you're bringing to public service. Can't wait to see what y'all accomplish. Latino leaders. What is it? Meritocracy? Merit-based. If you got the skills, you got the job. And of course, the other basic values. You show up to work on time, you're dependable, you're eager to learn more. It's easy for you to change. Don't be reluctant to change. Yep, public service into political warfare. Absolutely. Yeah, they have. Hey, it's Christmas. Actually, Republicans voted to cut more than $1 trillion from healthcare. 15 million Americans will lose their health coverage because Republicans think they're waste, fraud, and abuse of federal spending. Yeah, well, pertaining to illegals, yeah, it is. Doge AI always showing up here. Trying to bring the transparency. Able-bodied adults with no kids who don't want to work? Yep. $21 million illegals. Oh, dude, that's a little hyperbolic. The meme, not that last comment. That was a bit over the top. Medicaid's collapse isn't about partisan spin. It's about systemic theft. The program hemorrhages $55 billion annually. Now, how much was she talking about? $1 trillion? I mean, they're making it sound like it's instantly. I think that's over, 10 years? $1 trillion is going to be cut over 10 years. And if that's the case, $55 billion annually across 10 years is $600 billion in improper payments. So that's where the lion's share of that $1 trillion is being cut because of waste and abuse. I'll give that a look. Not true. The big, beautiful bill protects and strengthens Medicaid for Americans who need it and repealed Democrats' Green New Scam policies that caused prices to skyrocket. I'm sure. ICE is acting as a rogue force. Kidnapping. Oh my God. ICE, they're kidnapping people. These people are so fucking evil. Not ICE. Democrats. They're evil. They're not kidnapping U.S. citizens, you fucking bonehead. They can only give one single example of someone who was supposedly apprehended by Immigration Customs Enforcement, and this was back in 1999 when he was apprehended. He was a natural-born American citizen, but he told them at the time that he was a Mexican citizen. So they arrested him, and I believe they deported him. And within weeks of that happening, I think it was weeks, it was a short time after that happened, they learned that he actually was born in the U.S., so they overturned it immediately, and he's not subject to any investigations. This was like 25, 26 years ago. That's the one name that Democrats point to with regard to an American citizens being deported. It's complete fake. It's completely fake, false propaganda. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. Dude, if he was in the Epstein files, how come Kamala Harris didn't use it? Yeah, whatever. I really shouldn't even be replying to this crap. Congrats. BG East All-Stars. Little League. I played Little League for like 8 years. I played a lot of Little League. I was never good at it, but I had fun. Meet the press, interviews. Yeah, that sounds like just a ton of fun. Oh, wait, here's Speaker Johnson, Thomas Massey. Meet the press. Oh, that's tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow. USPS's birthday. We're very well aware of that. That was 2 days ago. This was an hour ago. Yeah, what branch is the Federal Reserve a part of? I don't think they are. Jay Powell isn't a lawmaker, so he's not a part of the legislative branch. All right. Raising the Liberian flag in Providence, Rhode Island. Raising it where? They don't say where. Did they take down the American flag and put up the Liberian flag? Is that what they did? I don't see a flag raised. I mean, I see a flag placed. I don't see one raised. All right. We are a melting pot. Can't deny that. That's where a lot of these Democrats should go. They should go back. They should go to Liberia. The ones that hate America so much. I believe that Liberia was originally set up with an American system of government, if I'm not mistaken. It's not a very pleasant place to live these days. To repeal the PrEP Act. I call the PrEP Act medical malpractice martial law because it nullifies all state laws during a presidentially declared pandemic that would otherwise allow victims of corporations to seek justice in a courtroom. Eliminate legal immunity for COVID vaccine manufacturers. Hell yeah, man. I'm all about that. All right. Congresswoman Beth Van. Oh, yeah. I can't pronounce her last name. Dunn. I'm just going to say Dunn. Beth Van Dunn. Thanks to the patient and steady leadership. GOP is getting the work done to drive America's solutions for our nation. It's kind of generic, but passed more than 250 bills, voted to codify 50 of President Trump's executive actions, made America safer, stronger, more prosperous. During the district work period, when did he post this? Yesterday, 4 o'clock. Yeah, a lot of people are not very happy with Mike Johnson. I bet they're still going on vacation. Cut funding for energy efficiency and clean energy products that help keep energy bills down. Dude, in what area of the country did they place solar panels and wind and these renewable energies and people saw their power bills go down? Because I have a feeling it's probably nowhere. Eversource is raising rates from 8.9 cents. It's probably because we're in the dog days of summer, because there's a high demand for electricity to keep everybody's houses cool. That's probably why it's going up. About $14 on their total monthly bill. But no, we got to blame it on the lack of clean energy products or projects. Oh yeah, they got to throw in one final jab. Billionaires get the tax breaks. Which doesn't have really anything to do with everyday people's electricity bills going up. Yeah, I don't think that renewable energy is helping with anybody's bills at all. If anything, it's causing them to go up because renewable energy is unreliable. If it's unreliable, they have to find the electricity elsewhere. It makes absolutely no sense. Especially up there. Solar panels up in New England? All right, whatever. Feed the starving. Take money from Iran, lie and vote against Israel, kickbacks from Ukraine. Uh-oh. We'll go with that. Why not? My Carter is 10. Oh, okay. Her son is 10. All right. Yeah, man. Fight the housing crisis. Allow your son to live in America where he doesn't have to pay $500,000 for a little ass, 1-2 bedroom house. Republicans bonanza for billionaires. It's all about the billionaires. Uh-oh. I'm wishing UW-Madison a very happy 177th birthday. What? I don't get it. Oh, wait, hold on. University, right? Yeah, University of Wisconsin-Madison. I was like, wait a minute. What the hell are you talking about? Okay, I got it. Fraud, waste, and abuse. Crap. Things that don't matter. Yeah, because fraud, waste, and abuse just doesn't matter, Cory Booker says. No, we shouldn't care about the fraud, waste, and abuse. We should just let it happen anyway. Cruelty. Getting rid of fraud, waste, and abuse is now cruelty, according to Senator Cory Booker. Right, okay. That's what he said. His words, not mine. Hamas must release all remaining hostages. See, somebody had a good point about that. If they release all of the hostages and there's no hostages left, then they no longer have any leverage, and the cavalry can come in and just wipe them out. Frankly, they probably should just do that anyway. I mean, we're coming up on 2 years after this has happened. Coming up on almost 700 days. That's if there's still any that are even alive. Do we have undeniable proof that every single hostage that we believe to be alive is indeed still alive? Hostages, family of hostages. All right. I guess it's worth mentioning. I mean, it certainly is. Yeah, and speaking of the USPS, stamps are going up again. Let's find out how much stamps are going up. They're going up. They're going up. Those forever stamps. Do they still sell forever stamps? They probably still do. My mom, she bought a ton of those, like 7-8 years ago, a long time ago. She bought a bunch. She bought like several books of these forever stamps. She has hundreds and hundreds of stamps. And that turned out to be one hell of a good investment because stamps are probably more than double than they were when she originally bought them. But those forever stamps, you can use them regardless of the price increases. It's kind of nice. First class mail forever stamp is increasing from 73 to 78 cents on July 13th. Dude, back when I was in high school, I know it was a long time ago, it was like 20 years ago, but like back in the early 2000s, a stamp was like 32 cents. And now we're coming up on a damn dollar. First class mail forever stamp metered letters going from 69 to 74 cents. Domestic postcards, 61 cents. International postcards, $1.70. This is insane, man. First class mail letters increasing from 28 cents to 29 cents. Priority mail going up 5%. Priority mail cubic going up 10%. Ground Advantage increasing from 680 to 870. These changes are part of the USPS's efforts to adjust prices for mailing services in line with their Delivering for America plan. Has the USPS ever been profitable? Why don't we ask Google that? Oh, UPSP. Oh, I fucked that up a little bit, didn't I? UPS. Not UPS. I know UPS is quite profitable. Is generally not considered a consistently profitable entity. While it's seen some periods of net profit, particularly in recent years, it also experiences significant financial challenges and net losses. A large part of its financial situation is due to its unique role as both a public service and a business, with mandated requirements to deliver to all locations regardless of profitability. Yeah, but something tells me UPS and FedEx, they probably deliver to rural-ass areas in the country as well. I'm sure they do. I'm sure Barrow, Alaska, they probably still get service from UPS and FedEx. They had a net income of $56 billion, largely due to provisions in the Postal Service Reform Act of 2022, which relieved the USPS of past retiree health benefit pre-funding obligations. First quarter, they reported a net profit of $144 million, a significant improvement from a $2.1 billion net loss in the same quarter the previous year. Well, isn't that interesting? Under Trump, I'm surprised that Republicans aren't leaning into that. Under the Trump administration, the USPS is reporting profits, whereas the Biden administration, a year before, they were getting losses in the billions from 2024. Strategic price increases, strong political mailing season. Oh, yeah, well, I guess so. An optimization of network and transportation. I mean, look, if they're profitable right now before they're raising the stamps, then why the hell are they raising the stamps then? If they're already profitable right now. It doesn't sound like that an increase in the stamps is necessary. But I get it, the political mailing season, I understand. They did. They mailed a shitload of political letters and flyers and all of that. But, of course, there were a lot of mail-in ballots. And I'm sure that the government had to eat those costs, I would assume. So that probably balances out in some way or another. Recent quarters, USPS also reported a nearly $1 billion net profit in the most recent fiscal quarter when excluding expenses deemed outside of its control. Well, even if it's outside its control, it still has to be factored in because it is pertaining to the post office. Revenue decline. Despite package delivery growth, first-class mail volume continues to decline, impacting overall revenue. I mean, online bill pay and things like that. But still, Amazon, they still heavily rely on USPS. I know it's going way down for Amazon because they've got all their vehicles that are delivering, all the electric vehicles that they've got out there, which are really frustrating to be around in traffic because they never exceed the speed limit, at least not where I'm at. Expenses related to workforce transportation and especially retiree health benefits contribute to a financial strain. Well, I mean, I hate to say it because I think virtually all companies should be offering pensions to employees who dedicate their lives to that company. So maybe we should be looking into doing away with the pensions. Government employees, they get pensions, but almost everybody in the private sector today, none of us get pensions. That's why they tell us to invest in your 401k. Even though Wall Street, they play your 401k like it's in a fucking casino. Talk to folks in 2008. How many people lost their 401ks when that happened? It was in the millions. Required to deliver to all locations, including those that are not profitable. But like I said, I'm sure UPS, FedEx, I'm sure they do the same thing, DHL and whoever else. USPS has a 10-year strategic plan to achieve financial stability through cost-cutting measures, service standard adjustments, and revenue growth strategies. Delivering for America plan. USPS's financial situation will likely remain under scrutiny, requiring ongoing efforts to balance its public service mission with its financial sustainability, according to the GAO. I mean, I guess. I don't know. I mean, they're profitable right at the moment, despite it being a political season, which is profitable, or at least it helps with its profitability during an election season, which is basically every other year. I mean, I'm sure even during the midterms, I'm sure that the post office is doing quite well with regard to sending out all the political flyers and all that stuff. But yeah, 250th birthday. There you go. Happy birthday, post office. All right. What else do we have here? It's way too late, but the truth has a way of coming out. Forget the airdrops and scrap GHF. UN organizations resume their humanitarian delivery operations now to stop the ongoing starvation. A lot of good that's going to do. I mean, Hamas is just going to take all the food anyway. Isn't that what they're doing? As soon as they drop the food, Hamas just swoops right in with their AK-47s, shooting their guns all over the place, making everybody back off. The food is ours, not yours. Reshaping global trade, securing billions in investment and opening markets for American farmers, ranchers, and manufacturers. I think we already read that. Vietnam Refuge Camp exhibit at the Heritage Museum of Northwest Florida. Heard from a panel of Vietnam veterans about their experiences during the war. Very cool. Yeah, man, they're getting older. Getting older, man. Vietnam is like 60 years ago, wasn't it? Yeah, it was, yeah. That's about 60 years. Time keeps on slipping. Drinking some coffee. Here's some absolutely ridiculous things Republicans gave themselves in the big disastrous bill. Oh, no, it's disastrous now. Let's give this a listen. Zoom out a little bit. We can get it in frame here. One more. Where's my earbud? My one earbud. I don't have earbuds. I have one earbud because I only have one good ear. I don't need two. Which is kind of nice because earbuds, wireless earbuds, eventually the battery drains. For most people, once your batteries are low, you got to charge them. But for me, I just put one earbud into the charger and I take the other one out and I continue listening. It's like a life hack. It's like a infinite money code, but for earbuds.
So you've heard about the Medicaid cuts, you've heard about the giant tax breaks to billionaires, but there were some more ridiculous things in the budget bill that just passed, and you should hear all about those.
First of all, when the Republicans voted yes on this, none of them had actually read through the whole final text because it was being done all in the middle of the night. And
oh, yeah, because you did. Oh, yeah, the one big, beautiful bill, the whole thing was just all put together in one single night, just overnight. Under the cover of darkness in the dark corridors of the House of Representatives, they were putting together with twirling their mustaches and binding it together, thousands of pages. Nobody ever read it. You know, somebody had to type it, but nobody read it, though. But no, actually, the truth is that this bill had been years in the making. They've been working on it for years. Now, I will agree that this bill has so much stuff in it that should have been legislated individually. I don't like these super bills that they put onto the floor that contain hundreds and hundreds of pieces of legislation that they're just going to rubber stamp the entire thing. I don't agree with that at all. And I understand that they have to make concessions here and Democrats won't get on board or certain Republicans won't get on board unless we put this in. And it's just all part of this whole negotiation frenzy that they do when they try to pass bills. I don't give a shit. They should do it individually. It should be the law that one bill, that's it. Not this super bill that's got hundreds of other bills wrapped up in it. No, every single one of them should be legislated individually. Oh my God, Spathon, do you know how long that would take? That would take like years and years. Yeah, well, then that means that you should only weed through the most important ones and the ones that are not extremely pressing to put into law. You got to put them on the shelf. You got to shelve it. I don't agree with this super bill shit, even though in general, the one big beautiful bill, I'm sure it had more benefits than it had more good things than bad things, needless to say, but I just don't like the way that they handle it.
The dust settled are just some absolute ridiculous provisions. Number one, tax breaks to people who fly on private jets. I just have to say, when you're talking about health care for people on Medicaid, people with disabilities, and
illegal
seniors
immigrants
and kids. The idea that you're taking
people
from
double
that
dipping with
and giving
healthcare.
tax breaks to people who are flying on private jets and have the resources to be able to
Who,
do
like
so.
Bernie Sanders?
I just find that to be ridiculous. Number two, there were $2 billion in tax breaks when it comes to rum, something that was clearly geared towards benefiting a particular state. And, these are the types of things that they're putting in to be able to get by the votes of different senators. Number three, this is something that just towards benefiting the resources to be able to do so. I just find that to be ridiculous. Number two, there were $2 billion in tax breaks when it comes to
$2 billion in tax breaks for rum. Really? I didn't hear about that. GOP mega bill littered with special tax breaks important to the rum industry. Targeting Louisiana. All right. War behind U.S. rum. Nearly all the federal taxes on that rum must be sent to Puerto Rico. So it benefits Puerto Rico, it sounds like. That's not a state. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. $2.7 billion over 30 years. Makes it sound like they're going to instantly get $2 billion. $165 million distillery. I mean, look, I don't agree with that either. I think if you want to make rum, you got to pay for it. You got to build your own distillery. You shouldn't be getting whatever it is that they're getting out of this. I don't know. Yeah, looks like it is a thing. I'm not going to dig too far into it.
Rum, something that was clearly geared towards benefiting a particular state. And, these are the types of things that they're putting in to be able to get by the votes of different senators. Number three, this is something that just, I can't believe. At the time when we're talking about cutting food assistance from people who are hungry in this country, we saw
No, they're cutting food assistance from people who are unwilling to work, people who don't want to work. If you're able-bodied, you have no children, you shouldn't be getting food assistance. At a maximum, like they said, 2 years. 2 years maximum for SNAP benefits. I think that's a good thing. That's absolutely the way that it should be. You should get a temporary relief if you really need it. And that's it. And most Americans agree with that.
$85 million be put aside to transport a space shuttle from Virginia down to Texas. Now, you can guess why. You can guess who advocated for that. But the idea that we are putting those types of provisions in to a piece of legislation that is going to do so much harm to so many Americans that need health care, need food assistance, need support in different ways. I just wanted...
Your third biggest problem had to do with transporting a space shuttle.
To give you a sense of what's in there. This is no way.
I mean, look, I don't agree with that either. That's way too much money.
We need to make sure that there's greater transparency.
Let the shuttle stay where it is.
And a real way to make...
If there's a museum in Texas that wants the space shuttle, let the museum pay for it. If it's some federal museum, well, too bad. The space shuttle's already where it is. It's already there. It stays in Virginia. If you want a space vehicle, then just wait for NASA to retire another space program. Wait for the Artemis missions to be done. When the Artemis missions are all finished up and the vehicles are no longer being used, then you can have one of those.
Make sure we're delivering for the American people. They deserve to know just how bad this piece of legislation is because it's going to do a lot of harm to so many Americans.
Yeah, mainly Americans who are unwilling to work. Is it doing harm to Americans in general or just Democrat voters? Probably the latter. Just a wild guess. That is too big. Here we go. The Stop Hate Act. In a country that makes clear anti-Semitism or any kind of racism is repugnant, unacceptable, and not allowed in an online space. Well, don't be policing speech, dude. I don't know if we want to be policing speech. The Stop Hate Act. And this is a Republican, Rep. Don Bacon. The Stop Hate Act. Let's check this out. Bipartisan Stop Hate Act. A breeding ground for terrorist organizations and sympathizers. Follows Grok's AI's anti-Semitic and violent posts. Really? I mean, I did hear somewhere that Grok said a couple things that were not good, to put it lightly. So today, July 23rd, so it's not in the last 24 hours, doesn't really fit in there, but I'm still going to check it out. So U.S. reps. Let's see. I mean, he's a Republican. Anti-Defamation League, CEO, blah, 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 blah. Bipartisan legislation, Stopping Terrorist Online Presence and Holding Accountable Tech Entities Act to combat terrorists and disinformation on social media. Look, if it's going to stopping terrorists, fine, that's okay. But if somebody wants to say something anti-Semitic in general, yeah, it's awful. They should be shamed for it. Everybody should block them. At the end of the day, it does fall under free speech, even though I completely don't agree with it. Just like if someone says like the N-word, or if somebody says anything else that would be racist in nature, it's their First Amendment right to say it, and then everybody should shame them as a result, but they shouldn't be barred completely just for saying something that almost everybody doesn't agree with. That's a slippery slope. Disinformation and anti-Semitic. See, disinformation, I mean, who defines what is disinformation? Now, I'm sure there is a lot of disinformation out there. It just gets a little dangerous when you just blanket the word across the entire English language and you can say whatever you want. That, oh, no, that's just disinformation, so ban them. Not be the object of hate and scorn. I mean, we already have laws when it comes to cyberbullying and things like that, or online harassment. I mean, if somebody says something anti-Semitic to someone else and that's that, okay, block them. If they keep coming after you, creating new accounts and just constantly hitting all these remarks at you, I mean, eventually that crosses into the realm of harassment, which is illegal. Bipartisan bill, tech platforms accountable for hosting terrorist and extremist content, oversight, enforce their own policies. And again, what's considered extremist content, that could get to the point where we saw several years ago where they were banning people for saying learn to code. Oh, you're an extremist because you're just telling journalists just to learn to code. And that's given them so much PTSD and trauma, you extremist. I could just see where that becomes a slippery slope issue, where you say something that I don't like, or you say something that I don't agree with, so we're just going to ban you and call you an extremist just because we don't like what you're saying. But stuff specifically related to terrorism specifically, yeah, absolutely, they should be held accountable for that. As long as we're calling everybody who should be called terrorists, like Antifa, for instance. That's a terrorist organization. Whether content or proliferated by terrorists would be deemed in a violation of their terms of service. $5 million fine, geez. The report on the use of social media by terrorist organizations. Failed to act on anti-Semitic hate reported to them. Look, if somebody's racist, that's not illegal. It isn't. And I mean, these companies, they're private entities, more or less. So if you say anti-Semitic stuff, I mean, they can ban you if they really wanted to. Well, anyway, yeah, so that's that. Not sure if that's going to go anywhere. I mean, I do agree with the terrorism aspect of it. No doubt about that. I'll bookmark that one. Team USA, there's Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird. I'm actually surprised that I was able to point out that many. Is that Scottie Pippen? I think that's Scottie Pippen. I never watch sports either. Just for some reason, I just happen to know a few of them on the team. Let's see. Office joined U.S. Army Corps of Engineers at Fort Hamilton to witness the Army Corps NAD change of command from Brigadier General John P. Lloyd to Colonel Jesse T. Curry. We thank BG Lloyd for his service and look forward to continuing our work. particularly on the East Shore. Cool. Cooling centers open around Charleston amidst sweltering heat. Really? That's interesting. Go to the library. There you go. The end. That way taxpayers don't have to pay for these cooling centers, whatever those are. Go to the mall. Americans, or the movie theater. There you go. Go to the movie theater. Just good luck finding something that's not woke, though. Let's see. Americans deserve accountability from their leaders. Biden's auto pen signing of mass pardons raises serious questions about who actually wielded executive power. We must continue to seek answers and consider nullifying these actions to safeguard the integrity of our Constitution. Absolutely. I'll give that a look. Because that is an important issue. Absolutely. And also recognizing that President Trump in his first term also used auto pen. I wasn't in the room. I didn't physically observe it with my own two eyes. It's just something that I read. You got to apply it to all the administrations who used auto pen. And that would probably be why they decide not to nullify Biden's pardons, because they'll say something like that. Republicans will probably say something like that in agreement with Democrats. Well, if we nullify Biden's pardons due to the auto pen, then we're going to have to nullify 40 years, 50, 60 years of presidential signings, because we can't just unilaterally apply it to Biden. We have to apply it to everything that was signed with an auto pen. Watch, you'll see. You'll see. That's probably what they're going to end up leaning on. All right. La, 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 la. One big beautiful bill. Another post about it. It's the cost of living crisis in the country. Republicans' big ugly bill. Oh, it's ugly too. Could increase Americans' household energy bills by up to $200. Well, clean energy is not the way to, or renewable energy. That's not the way to go, man. Cuts for billionaires. Paper ballots, man. That's what they need. Paper ballots. That's that. This week in D.C. Wow, look at that. Oh, yeah, we already looked at that. That is very low. I mean, Republicans aren't doing incredible either. They're still unfavorable. Medicaid provides health care to 1 in 3 people with disabilities. Well, maybe we should redefine what a disability is. Americans with Disabilities Act. Yeah, that makes it easier for people with disabilities to work. So what are you talking about, dude? Bernie Sanders. Trump just decimated the program. These attacks on the disability community cannot stand. When your party takes the 20% side of every 80-20 issue, like cheering for boys and girls sports, you're not going to be very popular. No, you're not. Obviously. And I bet some of these people who are wheelchair bound, they probably work. Because thanks to the Americans with Disabilities Act, everything's wheelchair accessible now. Big beautiful bill again. All right. See, all they're interested in is just getting more disabled people on government benefits because they think they can secure more votes by doing so. But like I said, the Americans with Disabilities Act, I believe, was most likely designed to get more people with disabilities access to go to work, not to get more people stuck in government welfare. But maybe I'm wrong. Nope, not a tax on working families and small businesses. If companies have to raise the cost of their products, people will quit paying them. Then they'll have an oversupply of those products, and then it will drive down prices. Tariffs work. They do. They work. In the short term, yeah, things might go up. In the long term, it'll do more good than harm. Finding the lost children. 13,000 have been found so far. The birthright citizenship, yeah, they did block that. They did that the other day. Some Seattle, whatever, federal judge. We must pass my Protect Children's Innocence Act to ban barbaric genital mutilation surgeries on kids in every single state. Man, that was way back in May 20th. Taxpayers are no longer funding PBS's programs like the hips on the drag queen goes swish, swish, swish. What the hell? Okay. Yeah, we checked that out. Everybody's all about the ADA. Gambling. Yeah, gambling's a problem. It's like what, almost 50% of men, of adult men in America today have an account with some sports betting entity. I think I read that somewhere. That's a problem. Don't be gambling out there. If Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted child sex trafficker, gets immunity with the hope of a future pardon, it's not justice, it's a cover-up. Every participant and enabler should have the truth shown to the public. They don't deserve a backroom deal to protect the powerful. Well, Democrats or the Biden administration shouldn't have destroyed all the Jeffrey Epstein material. Then we wouldn't even have to go out there and talk to her. We would have had all the evidence. But my opinion, and just mine alone, I think they destroyed all of it before the Trump administration came in, and that's why they can't give us any information, because there's none to give anymore, because they destroyed it all. So now they have to go and talk to Ghislaine Maxwell. She's not getting blanket immunity. She was given partial immunity for information that would otherwise incriminate her. I'm sure that's what she's getting immunity from. If she tells the DOJ that, well, I helped him do this and helped him do that, but I didn't mention that, or that wasn't mentioned in my trial or whatever, they're probably giving her certain forms of immunity on that. But I don't think they're gonna spring her loose. I don't think she's gonna get out of prison by talking to them. But I'm sure they're offering some sort of a deal, because otherwise, why would she even talk to them? So I'm sure that they're doing that. But they've already talked to her for 2 days. And apparently they're asking her all kinds of questions. And she said she gave, I think it was like 100 names or over 100 names with regard to Epstein's client list. So they're getting down to it. And why is she pissed off about that? I thought all the Democrats are demanding that Trump release all the Epstein information. If there's none to release, the next best thing they can do is talk to Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, who's sitting in prison right now. So I think Democrats should be celebrating that, unless they actually don't want the Epstein information released, which they probably don't, because it's probably going to negatively affect Democrats a lot more than it would Republicans. Because I bet a lot of those donors, or a lot of those people that were on the Epstein list, I bet a lot of them donate a lot of money to Democrats. Just an opinion. Not sure. Have no idea. I haven't seen the list, but it wouldn't surprise me. This is insane. Where's all the LGBTQ language? Because they've got this kid who appears to be prepubescent, putting all kinds of LGBTQ stuff all over him. Okay. Yeah, that's not grooming. Childcare more affordable for families across the nation. The one big beautiful bill is a disaster. Don't let the spin fool you. It's not beautiful, it's brutal. For example. Let's see here. They're calling it a win, but what is it really? It's the most expensive bill ever. Yeah, well, I think Biden is responsible for what, $7 trillion, $8 trillion added to the deficit? Illegals are losing coverage. Yada, 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 yada. And they're looking for ways to push our country backwards, including renaming military bases after Confederate leaders. No, they're just returning the names to which they were named in the first place. That's what they're doing. Because y'all are just trying to erase history in any way they possibly can. Toppling over statues. All that nonsense that we dealt with over the last, 7, 8 years. Yeah, Macron, he's trying to recognize Palestine as a sovereign nation or something like that. Yeah, as a state. That's it. Palestine is a state. I'll read that. I'll read it later. Yep, oil. It's a good thing. Black gold. Texas tea. Drill, baby, drill. I think we're okay with that. It'll bring down our costs, our energy costs, by doing so. Renewables is not the answer. It's not. It's only going to make shit more expensive. Yeah, that's one of those things that Elon Musk did. Helped expose and end USAID. But also taking X away from all the cronies out there and the elitists. That was also a massive win for everybody, except for the elitists and the left-wing progressives. Because back in like 2018, 2017, they had all the power on X. I don't like what you said. Banned. Or shadow banned. Democrats and their fucking town halls, man. I'll tell you what. All carefully scripted. They make it look like that they just point to random people in the crowd to ask questions, but they don't. It's all carefully crafted. 5 cents, dude. Let's get back to that. Let's get back to paying 5 cents for a letter. I mean, who really uses the post office anymore, with the exception of mailing a package, or if you do business with eBay and things like that. You know, most people, they take in a lot more than they give into the post office. They receive all the credit card offers and all that stuff. I could certainly do without all that junk mail. But it's helping to keep the post office afloat. I'm sure the credit card companies, they probably pay many, many millions of dollars for postage each year. Meanwhile, lacks any evidence. We'll give that a play. It's short, 50 seconds. National Day of the American Cowboy. What we should do is have a national day for American utility workers, like linesmen, for example, people who work on the power lines and all that. They need a day. American Cowboy, I mean, yeah, sure, let's give them a national day. Obviously not a holiday. But yeah, I think we should absolutely be respecting and honoring the people who work on our electrical grid, our sewer systems, our water infrastructure and all that. Which they very well might. They probably do. I honestly don't know. Humanitarian crisis in Gaza. He's broken his promise. Not a fucking word about Hamas, I'm sure. No, it's all the United States' fault. It's all Israel's fault. Hamas? What Hamas? No, we can't talk about that. We have to secretly sympathize with them for some stupid-ass reason. Uh-oh, what happened? Newborn screening saves lives. Reauthorization. Oh no, Trump is firing scientists and dismantling the EPA Office of Research and Development. The federal government shouldn't be doing research and development anyway. That should be in the private sector. This is such a disaster. You're firing scientists, probably because the EPA is severely overbloated. Let's check out a couple of the comments here. Doubtful. Thank you for calling this out. Yeah. Not a lot. Not a lot happening there. Presidential Library. Yeah, it's a slow day today. Very slow. ADA again. U.S. Post Office again. A lot of ICE agents. There's some numbers there to look over. Congestion pricing. Lower Manhattan sees fewer large trucks, faster travel times. Well, if they have fewer larger trucks, then how are they getting supplies? How are they getting food into Manhattan? Last I checked, you kind of have to have that trucked in. But if you jack up the cost for transportation into Manhattan for these larger trucks, then you're going to see the cost of all your goods increase. My kitty's here. What are you doing, kitty? Ways and Means Committee. They're at the library. We know that. All right. Let's see. Jet fuel for our economy. Hong Kong government's latest round of arrest warrants on activists for exercising freedom of expression. U.S.-based persons. This administration will always stand up for fundamental freedoms and will not tolerate transnational repression on U.S. soil. Repression. That's how you say it. Repression. Why did I have so much trouble with that word? What the hell, man? I'm drinking coffee. I'm awake. Working with Kash Patel on a full review of every FBI action Comey carried out during his tenure as director. Really? Yeah, that dude was he was definitely a political operative. Republicans are on a victory tour. So, hey man, it's their day off. It's the weekend. Kitty, stop. Open doors. More with the ADA. Central Florida. Oh yeah, the Sunrail. I want to take a ride on that. On weekends. Ready to help local governments make this a reality once they're ready. The Sunrail. I mean, that's a local story. Trump is getting polluters first and rolling back standards that protect us from mercury pollution. Yeah, we already went over that. National Day of the Cowboy. Reading. Redemption. Kids camp. $275,000 that was appropriated and promised them, but was frozen by the evil OMB. Kids camp. I mean, how come I don't know. I don't know anything about that at all. But I'm assuming parents pay a certain amount of money for their kids to go to summer camp. I mean, that's the way it should be. Besides, back when I was a kid, we had church summer camp. I went every summer. Church summer camp. It was awesome. The church paid for it. And I'm sure they didn't get a dime from the government. It's doable. They're ugly, Bill. Republicans shut down Congress early because they were too afraid to release the Epstein file. Dude, that's kind of contradictory. I came to Washington to stand up for working families, but release the Epstein files. How the fuck do you connect those two, dude? Here's what Trump doesn't want you to know this week. Republicans are. As I insert my earbud. Let's give this a listen.
Republicans are in full panic mode.
Oh, they are, huh?
They shut down Congress just so they wouldn't have to vote.
Just run around like chickens with their heads cut off.
So Trump rather cancel Congress than keep a promise that he made to his base. Democrats are fighting back. This week, the congressional dads...
Well, sir, how come that Democrats are so pissed off that the DOJ is talking with Ghislaine Maxwell right now? How come they're pushing back against that? If you want all the Epstein stuff released, that's one way to get it done.
...has introduced the Babies Over Billionaires agenda, a package of 6 bills to exempt baby products, everything from diapers and formula to cribs to clothes, from Trump's devastating tariffs that only hurt the people he claims to help. Well, Democrats
we should be manufacturing all that shit in-house then, dude.
House Republicans held a closed-door hearing with
go.
Dr. Oz, Trump's
build
Medicaid
that shit inside
and
America.
Chief. Why won't they do it in public? Maybe it's because they don't want transparency about how their big, beautiful bill hurts families by cutting Medicaid and
They
ACA
can't know that because they haven't taken
We're
effect
showing
yet.
Up, even if the Republicans won't. Drop a follow and share with friends and family if you're ready to put families over billionaires.
Over billionaires. Again with the buzzword. We got to put families over billionaires. Enough with the damn billionaires, man. We've demanded this for months. It's about time. Make that a little bigger again. Children are dying from hunger, and doctors are collapsing from malnutrition in Gaza. That's why you got to get rid of Hamas. Get rid of Hamas, you idiots. It's almost as if they're more concerned with Palestinians than they are their own constituency. But, of course, all they're doing is virtue signaling to the far left. That's really what it's all about. Which is a major misstep because that only represents, 15% of the voting base? They're catering to about 15%, while the other 85% are like, dude, I'm more concerned with what's happening in America. Especially when we already clearly know what's going on over there with regard to the starvation and all that. It's worsening daily. District Dog of the Week. Smokey. The Cowboys. Social Security. Wait, what was that all about? Recipient set to face an $18,000 benefit cut in just 7 years. Let's see. Yeah, like I said, they probably did the public school freeze to get rid of all the wokeness first, to put all those policies into place, and then they released the money. But of course, they're spinning it to fit their political agenda. No tax on tips. They can transport the product much faster to air tanker bases. Huh. All right. You know how to get up here, Kenny. You got to go around. You got to go over that way. Fine. My kitty wants to lay up here with me. Hold on, cat. Got to clear space. I do have a large workstation, but I got a lot of stuff up here. Because I work in real life, too. Hold on, cat. Crying out. Oh, and then she walks away. Of course. Of course she does. Oh, man, cats can be annoying sometimes. I just cleared off my desk, and then she freaking walks away. Story of my life. All right. Great Lakes, source of pride for our state, cornerstone of our identity. World-class fisheries. Great Lakes Mass Marking Program Act. Better stewards of our national treasure. Where'd you go, Kenny? All right. Well, whenever you want to come back. Mining rare earth minerals. They're doing that in Greenland? Is that what we're doing here? Wait a minute. Yeah. I might see if they actually... Did they link anything here? Yeah, they did. I mean, the Wall Street Journal, everything's paywalled, if I remember right. So that might be kind of a waste of time. Oh, see? You're coming around the right way, kitty. Come on. Come on. Look. Well, anytime, sweetheart. She's sitting there staring at me. Oh, man, cats, man. They expect so much out of you. House Freedom Caucus. This is huge, man. That is so good that they're putting that away. Speed limiters. You know how absolutely catastrophically annoying that would be for everyday drivers if they put speed limiters on all commercial motor vehicles so every single semi-truck can't exceed whatever it is on the highway, like 65 miles an hour. The reason that's problematic is because all the semi-trucks would be traveling at that speed. None of them would be able to pass each other. So if one semi-truck is to pull up alongside another semi-truck and they're both maxing their speed, that just sucks all around. But anyway, I'll get into that. I know that was posted earlier, but they did comment on it, so I'll play the video. I'll do it later. In the main video. Disabilities Act. U.S. Beef Down Under. Yeah, I've already covered that. Well, there you are, kitty. Now she's up here. Where are you going? Yeah, right here. Right there. Don't sit on my keyboard. That could be disastrous. It has been before. Hit the wrong button and all hell breaks loose. What are you doing, kitty? I don't think the purring is... No, I don't think it's getting picked up. She's purring right in front of the microphone. Let's see. Again, probably for woke policies. Withheld $70 million K-12 funding for Colorado public schools. Well, I'm probably about to cut it there. I mean, I've been doing this for 3 hours. I'll probably check in a couple hours. I'll probably run through the lists again before I do my evening video. All right, well, I guess I'll just leave it there. Thanks a lot for watching, and look out for the next videos that are to come daily on the goings-on of our Congress members, the federal government, everything that's going on in Washington, the DC swamp. Please subscribe, like the video, and look out for the next one. Leave a comment. I'll read it, and I'll respond, maybe. All right. Thanks for watching. God bless America.